like a 27. Baby, I'm a rifle, one bite you dead. So if you're gonna find me from my heart, all you're gonna get is red card.
What can I say? I need more than desire, more than just a pretty face.
J's for Justice.
Okay, you better walk.
Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hey everybody, happy Saturday. Welcome to J is for Justice. I am your host, Jay, and I have a co-host tonight. I have Miss Detective Potato. Hello, Potato. Yes, you are the Detective Potato. Good evening, my darling. It is a bloody hell late night here in the UK. I want to thank you for staying up and coming on with me tonight. I know it's late for you guys there in the UK, so I do appreciate it. It's well past midnight. It's half past my ass and a quarter to my balls. I think that's some British guy that I used to talk to. He'd say, it's a half past my ass and a quarter to my balls.
Roberta.
You haven't?
Roberta.
Can you hear the Roberta? You can't. I can't.
Roberta.
Oh, look at Angie B has been a member for 4 whole stinking months.
Roberta.
Thank you so much, Angie. I'm muted, Potatoes? Or you're muted. You are? Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, they can't hear It never fails. Hold on, let's see what we've got going on here. Maybe we can fix this problem. Okay, now talk, Potatoes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Potatoes?
Hello, can you not hear me now?
I guess I can't hear her now. Hi, Lizzie Bones. Lucia has been a member for 7 whole Roberterized months. Lucia, thank you so much. Let's see if we can't get Potato here on the other end. Potato.
Yes, hello.
She's over there talking.
The music's so loud, April says. Can you hear me?
Aw, Angie. I cannot hear her. So that's very interesting to me. I didn't think we needed to test, but here, let me try this. I think that I might have the issue, the problem.
Oh, I think they can hear
Potatoes.
me now. Hello.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
And that music is super loud. Is it super loud to anybody else?
Yeah.
I'm finally plugged in. The world is so bright from in here. Oh. The world. I see it with different glasses. Okay, we are in biz. All right, let's try that over. Welcome, Potatoes.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening again.
Thank you. Yeah, so Potatoes stayed up late. We all know she's kind of a night owl, but she did stay up late to join us. April just became a new member. This is my type of channel, though. The music is overwhelming. I just turned it down, April, but I don't see you. You're not a greenie yet. Look at this. Holy. Heather, the Invisibrat, 7 months. She's been a reverter. And Carrie, my girl, she says time flies like a vodka bottle when you're having fun. Or when they're... It says Carrie. I changed up the little things in chat too. Look at it. It says Carrie just became a reverter. It's getting a little more. I had some time today to play around with things that I don't normally play around with. Get your mind out of the gutter. Skulls.
Jay got my name on her pillow.
It's not a pillow. This is actually a blanket I got for
Oh,
Christmas.
it does say skulls.
Skulls.
Just for you, Scott.
Oh, Onesie had oral surgery. Onesie, we're so glad that you're doing okay.
Oh, ouch.
Jay, I was fangirling when you saw my post at Roberta's house. Get this, Lizzie Bones on Twitter. I happened to see it today. She went in front of the damn laundry's house. She's got a horse head on. Like one of those horse heads. You're crazy
What?
as fuck. You are crazy as fuck. Do I need to pull it up and show everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to see it.
Let's do it. Lizzie Bones, you cracked me up. I had to laugh. I commented on I don't normally comment on Twitter very much. And I saw that. I was like, that's funny as hell. Lizzie, I didn't know you were in Florida, though. In Florida. Or are you just visiting and you made a visit down into the Roberta? All right,
Roberters.
let's go to Lizzie Bones. Lizzie Bones. She's a beast for doing that. I love it. Okay, where the heck is it? Where in the hell did you get that head from? Wait, wasn't it on your... Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, let me share. I found it. You guys, I promise this is worth it. She's crazy as hell. She's an honorary Roberta tonight because I never seen any shit like this. Dun dun dun. The suspense. Here we go. There it is. Check this out. Fucking love it. She says the weather got shitty, so I did a thing. You are too funny. We got Damien in chat. The dude that...
Oh my god.
I don't know.
He doesn't know. He does not know.
Lizzie, you're
That's so
awesome.
weird.
Oh, shoot. All right. Well, let's get into the case we're going to be talking about, though. Thank you, Lizzie, for that. It's amazing. It really is. And Summer is bound and determined to knock this camera over. If you see it shaking, it's because she's doing that. Because she knows that I'm live. Oh my god, the ball landed right behind me. Did you see that?
No, I didn't
Look,
see
it's right
it.
above my right shoulder. It's right above Ted Bundy. Let's see if she gets it. Let's see if she gets it. All right. Lizzie, you rock. All right, let's close this out and let's pull up what we're going to be talking about, and this is the case of April Millsap. And this is something that's personal to me because this not only happened close to where I used to live and where I grew up. I went to school with April's mother, but I was there for like the prelim, and I helped her out with some things after. Why, Ruby? What do you mean you can't see us? What does that mean? I feel like they can see us.
I think so.
Okay. Okay, I went against our promise that we're not going to look at chat. So we're not looking at chat any further until we're done. Okay? We're going to be just chatting, talking. So, anyways, yeah, I went to the prelim. I did not go to the trial, but I did go to the sentencing of James VanCallis. And I want to kind of give you guys my perspective, and then like Potato and I are going to like walk through the case. And then I'll kind of cut in with certain things that I learned as we go. Ruby was talking about Summer's ball, so that's why I don't need to look at chat, right, Potatoes?
Oh, okay.
I know, I'm like,
Thanks.
what? That deserves a...
What?
Okay, so this happened in Armada, Michigan. Yeah, Megan, it is. This is about 30 miles north of Detroit, and Armada is a very small town. It's I can't even say how many, maybe a couple thousand people. Middle of the town is literally like a blinking red light. So it's a 4-way stop, and that's the town. Actually, it might be a working light now, but I mean, that gives you the idea of how small this town is, that they may have just gotten the working light like recently. So gives you a little idea of what the town is like. And, you know, it's one of those small towns where this kind of stuff never, ever happens or has happened. Look at, I'm going to get knocked over. Come on. We got Bella over here being a good girl. Look. She's like, oh, that's Summer. That's Summer Lil. She's bad. But she knows that's my camera, I think. So, all right. So, anyways, it's a very small town. This kind of stuff doesn't happen there. And this trail that April went out to walk her dog on, like she did almost every day, was an old railroad track that went through town, and it goes through county to county. I'm sure Scott Skulls, if he's in chat still, he's familiar with the Macomb Orchard Trail, which is what it's called in Macomb County. But it stretches across the state. And they paved it. They took the railroad tracks out, paved it, and made it like a biking, like a non-motorized biking trail and a walking trail. So it goes right through the little town, and there's, you know, ice cream shops, a little bar, you know, a little cafe, a pizza place, and that's, you know, a dentist. It's very, very rural. So she would take her dog Penny, was a shepherd mix, and she would go over to the trail. She'd walk down. She said to walk 2 blocks. And you could take different ways to get there, because it actually went through a neighborhood. Like right behind a development, there's the trail, and then there's it's like a factory that makes dog food, of all things. And literally it stinks right out there. Like, you'll never forget that they're making dog food. But at any rate, it's right there in the town, and you can walk all these different little, you know, side streets to it. And she would walk with Penny and just walk the trail and go home. So on this day, do you want to tell us, Potatoes? Give us the beginnings. Do you have that in front of you or no?
No.
Okay, that's fine. So hold on one sec. Okay, so it was July of 2016, and April took Penny for a walk. Show us, Jay. I know, I'm going to. Oh, wow.
What was that?
A lamp. That was a lamp.
Mama. Oops.
Yeah.
We have to stand down.
Dude, that JB was perfect. Summer, you need to stand down.
I can't hear the sound bites.
She just broke. No, it was someone subscribed. Can I just, I'm going to actually be back in just a second, because there's glass everywhere.
Oh my god.
So I'm going to actually be right back, okay?
Okay. Oh,
Entertain. Go ahead and entertain the people.
Shall I do sing a song?
Roly-poly, Daddy's little
Yeah,
fatty.
yikes.
Daddy's gonna be a man
Oh my god, my
someday.
kids broke the lamp about an hour ago. Yeah, stand down, Summer. You're gonna do this in the Barbara voice. I don't know, I think the Barbara voice was just my voice. We can talk about my trip over there. What trip, Scott? I planned it. What are you talking about, Scott? You're going to have to tell me because I'm stupid. I don't know. Sing a song. I am not singing on here, maple syrup. Thank you very much. Maple syrup?
Okay, I'm really sorry. I just had to had to take care of that. Sorry about that. All right, I'm going to be off camera for just a second here. Okay, so we're going to get into this. I'm sorry for that delay. Never a dull moment. It's like having a puppy is like having a toddler. Mm-hmm. Sometimes worse, honestly. Sometimes worse. So, I'm going to give you a little background and then we're going to roll into a couple of clips. And, behave yourself, Scott Skulls. April Millsap was born on January the 2nd, 2000. So she was actually the same age as my daughter. They were both born in the same year, which really was quite scary at the time. She lived in Armada with her mother, Jennifer, and then I went to school with Jennifer. She was a couple years older than me. But she did graduate from the same high school as me. And she lived with her boyfriend, David. So it was Jennifer and David and April in the village of Armada. And the population in Armada is about 2,000. Okay. So, April was a normal teenager. She had a nice group of friends. She had a boyfriend. And she had been with her boyfriend for about a year and a half. So at 14, that's a big deal. Yeah. And her mom, Jennifer, said that if she wasn't out with her friends, or at school, that she was on her computer playing games. She was in the school band, and she was a very talented writer. And when she was younger, she wrote many short stories, but her dream job was to be a veterinarian. And she was very into her health and going on walks, and she was health conscious. So she would make sure that she got her daily steps. So she had a fitness tracker on her phone. And she had, like I said, the dog named Penny. And I'm going to show you guys a picture of Miss Penny in just a few minutes.
Penny was like her best friend.
Penny was her best friend. I've met Penny, and Penny is just an amazing dog. And when you hear what Penny did,
yeah,
it's just, it's crazy what dogs can do when they need to, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, Miss Penny was her BFF, and they would go on walks, and they went and turned on her daily fitness app, and they would go on their walk. And on July the 24th of 2014, April told her mom at about 5:30 that she was going to take Penny for a walk. And Jennifer said that she never came back after dark. Like, it was never a walk that went on hours and hours and hours. And she knew to be home before it got dark out. However, it was starting to get dark, and Jennifer's like, "Where is April?" Right?
Mm-hmm. Plus, she was on a trail that lots of people were on as well, so you would never think something like that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's a very busy trail. It's a very busy trail.
Daylight as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And pretty much a lot of people that know each other, or pretty much everybody knows everybody. So, like, when you're on that trail, you will run into your teachers, your friends' parents. I mean, whatever. You'll know everybody.
Mhm.
So, Jennifer started to get worried when it was dark. So she texted April to see where she was at. And she did not get a reply at all. When she found she thought it was weird because April always answered her phone. And we know how it is having teenagers. I mean, that thing's taped to their ass, right? If your kid doesn't answer their phone, there's probably something wrong or it's dead.
Mhm.
So she tried to call and it went straight to voicemail. And she just kept trying and trying and trying. And it just kept going to voicemail. So at 9 o'clock, Jennifer knew something was wrong. So it was only about a half an hour, I think. About a half an hour. And she called the police and said it had been 3 or 4 hours since April had left. The police came to the house and took a report and got more information. But Jennifer was very upset. Like, she could barely, she was like hyperventilating. It was really bad that the officers had to actually take her phone away at that time when she was on the phone with her boyfriend who was at work. So he was at work. He worked like 12-hour shifts.
Mhm.
And she was trying to tell him what was going on, and she was hysterical. So he left work, David did, and he came home. And then the police kept asking Jennifer, what happened? Where would she normally go? Who's her boyfriend? All of these things were happening. It was like a whirlwind. So Jennifer told them about April's boyfriend, Austin. And, well, it didn't get dark until about probably 8:30ish in Michigan in the summer. So in July in Michigan, it's dark, or it gets dark pretty late. Maybe 9 o'clock even. I mean, it was probably just dark. She left at 5:30. So it wasn't dark until much, much later. So it wasn't like she was sitting there for 3 hours wondering where April was. It was a very short amount of time. So she told them about Austin and gave the police Austin's number. So they called her boyfriend Austin, and he was in a neighboring town at a Burger King when they called him.
Yeah.
But he told the police that he also hadn't heard from April in a few hours.
Mhm.
And when he did hear from her, he said it was kind of concerning because she had texted him at 6:28 p.m. and said, and this is a quote, "I almost got kidnapped, OMFG."
That's so scary. And that was the last text that she'd sent as well. So the last communication was that one
was
message.
the last text. So let me pull up some of these pictures that we have. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play the video because I think that video actually shows her final text from her phone as well.
Yeah.
So let me get that up here. And that is the perpetrator here. But okay, so let me get into then we'll play the video because I'm not quite there yet. So the police received a 911 call from someone who had discovered a body on the trail. And they said, "I'm fairly certain we just found a body on the mountain bike trail." So
Yeah.
let's watch.
They've been riding their bikes, haven't they? They've been on a bike ride and happened to see something.
Yeah, the one lady, I think the wife was rollerblading and the husband, or vice versa. One was on a bike, one was on rollerblades, I think. And they actually noticed Penny. But let's watch the beginning of this video and see where this leaves us. If I can find the window it's in. Oh, that's the framed thing. That's the mother. We don't want to watch that one yet. Right?
I can't see them.
What do you mean you can't see it?
I can't see what you're pulling up.
You can't?
Mm-mm.
Well, you
I'm
should
gonna
see
when
it.
comes
Oh,
on
you
YouTube.
know what? You're going to see it on YouTube.
Yeah, so I'm going to be delayed.
I could actually share it over here if that would be easier.
So I can see it real time.
I can do it. Yeah, I can do it the other way. That's fine. I wasn't thinking about that. About thoughts.
Quite a long delay, so.
It is quite long. So, and I apologize for some of the quality of this video. It's kind of pixelated. But that's only because I had to, it's a long video and I had to make it small. All right, here we go. We'll get it up there sooner or later, right?
Just hold, please.
All right, there we go.
A horrible crime unfolded back in July. Jim?
The FBI, state police, the county sheriff, Armada police gathered evidence on this trail and also in the village to complete this case.
It's scary. Small town with big time crime, and we don't need that.
According to the Armada police chief presenting evidence to the judge, they have physical evidence from the crime scene, the trail, and in the village. Surveillance video showing the man now charged, James VanCallis, wearing athletic shoes with a specific tread. April Millsap was stopped, and he was carrying her cell phone taken from her attack. Her backpack was also taken from the scene. Police have 3 witnesses. One is a classmate to April that saw her talking to a man on a motorcycle. She rebuffed him and ran off. The man ambushed her from behind using his helmet as a weapon. He dragged her into the woods and attempted to sexually assault her. The 3rd witness interrupted that and later helped develop a composite sketch that matched VanCallis. The chief telling the judge April was stalked, robbed, murdered, and her body was found nearly naked. Small town Armada is lined with now weathered pink ribbons since this happened in July. Her mother not answering the door at their house in the village. Many people know both the young girl and the man now charged.
You see all the ribbons and you see signs, justice for April, and
Justice is here now.
it is.
And parents are telling me they've had long talks with their kids, some buying them cell phones since this happened. Carolyn, Stephen?
Jim, did this guy have a past record? Did anyone, feel suspicious about his behavior in the past around there?
I could tell you that the people in the community felt uneasy with this still being uncharged. They knew they had the person of interest in the jail. He was being held there on an earlier drug charge, not related to this murder. But now, since he's been charged with the murder today, they are feeling a lot better.
Yeah, been a lot of relief. Thank you so much for the live report, Jim.
7 investigator Jonathan Carlson has been breaking details in this case from the very beginning.
Jonathan is live in Romeo tonight with a deeper look at how this investigation began and ended. Jonathan.
Okay, so let's stop there for a second. And let's talk about what they just said. So it went uncharged for quite some time. And everybody was flipping out. They were like, oh my God, like, why isn't he getting charged? Him and his dad both got locked up for drugs. I think they were growing marijuana in their house. Yeah. And this was like before marijuana was legal in Michigan. There was no medical or anything like that. So they were holding him on that. And then it came out that the father, that VanCallis' dad, VanCallis Sr., was a registered sex offender. He was a registered SO. So everyone was like, what's going on with these 2 men? Who did it? We had no idea. So again, this happened in 2016 in Armada, Michigan. So so on the screen that you saw before, they showed the trail. The reporter was standing on the trail. And now this guy, Jonathan Carlson, he is in actually my hometown of Romeo. And the court was held in the Romeo courthouse. So very close to home. That's where the prelim was, rather. The actual case was held in the Mount Clemens courthouse in Macomb County. So at any rate, let's play a little bit more of Jonathan, and then we will reconvene.
Well, good evening. It took nearly 3 months of twists and turns, but in the end, time ran out for the only suspect in this case. Since her body was found that July day, the small village of Armada wrapped itself in pink, the favorite color of 14-year-old April Millsap.
Quiet but generous, kind, caring, beautiful little girl.
That's how Mom Jennifer described her daughter in an interview with Action News weeks after the murder. The investigation would take weeks, months in fact, as police searched brush, lakes, trails, anything to find clues linking someone to April's murder. Turns out they had a suspect early on, but not the evidence needed to make an arrest. The searches never ventured far from the crime scene. The 7 investigators breaking the news of where April's phone was found and uncovering suspect James VanCallis Jr.'s extensive ties to Armada, his son, a classmate of April's, and his childhood home, only yards from the crime scene. We were there as police raided the VanCallis family home, busting VanCallis Jr. on pot charges. But they were there for something much more serious. He would appear in court, his family distraught at the sight of him in a prison suit, his lawyer calling him,
"He's a wonderful person."
But investigators thought otherwise.
We are looking at him.
We were there for April's funeral, as hundreds remained in shock and fear, waiting word that an arrest had been made. It took some time, but that word finally came today.
We announced charges against James Donald VanCallis for the murder of April Dawn Millsap. The evidence led in only one direction, and that's to James VanCallis.
The news, a bittersweet victory for the police chief of close-knit Armada.
We've had over 1,000 tips.
Many of them from the community, which investigators say helped solve the case. And James VanCallis Jr. will be here in district court in the morning for his arraignment. If convicted, he could face life in prison without parole. We're live in Romeo. Jonathan Carlson, 7 Action News.
All right, Jonathan, thank you for that.
All right, so there's the news that they finally arrested someone. And a random fun fact about Eric Smith, the prosecutor at the time, he is now behind bars for committing fraud. He stole tons of money. I don't remember how many tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Macomb County prosecutor's office. So they bought him a house, I think. Yeah.
Naughty man.
Yep, I think he got a house on the prosecutor's
Wow.
office. Don't quote me on that, but it was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So, the trial though itself was pretty eventful, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. But the prosecutor was pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Macomb County prosecutor, and I don't know his name offhand, but he is something else. Mm-hmm. This dude is so animated and passionate about his job. It's craziness. It's crazy.
I couldn't stop watching him. He was amazing.
He really is. So I think we decided to, and this will give you guys a really good idea of what happened. You know, there's nothing more thorough than getting the facts straight from a trial, from a court. You know, I can sit here all day long and tell you, you know, my perspective or whatnot, but the facts are the facts. And there was still a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but like his family and friends who, even after he was convicted, who still are, you know, professing his innocence.
Mm-hmm. Before you play that as well, because I think they mention it too, that right at the beginning, there were sightings of like a white van. So they had to clear them, but they were just in the area looking at properties. I do
remember the white van. It was seen at a gas station. Mm-hmm. And there's a gas station right on the corner by this trail.
Yeah.
And we thought, oh my God, it's a creeper van. But like, you got to remember too, so many construction workers in this area. So those white vans are everywhere.
So is that gas station the same one that VanCallis went to as well? Because he was seen on camera.
It sure
wasn't he?
is. It sure is. Yep.
Yeah. And
So
they
he
also
was-
suspected the boyfriend as well at one point because
Well, we all
he
did.
and
We all did in
April
the
had fallen
beginning.
out.
Yes. It was way too okay, so he didn't have a good signal. When she texted him, he didn't I don't think he got it right away. It came in lagged.
Yeah.
And it was because he had a bad signal because they're out in the middle of the boondocks. So it's kind of hit and miss. And he did not have a signal on it. Everyone was like, "Ooh, that sounds," and her mom her mom was like, "Austin would not do that." Like, no, Austin loves her. Like, she never faltered from looking at that kid ever. And he said he was at Burger King. He had a couple buddies that, vouched for him. And we all thought, oh boy, these boys are going to get themselves in a load of trouble if they're lying, but they weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't. But it was crazy because we're like, oh my gosh, the last text goes to him and it says, "I think I was almost kidnapped. OMFG."
Yeah, and he didn't reply and he didn't tell anyone, but then he got it late. So
he got it late.
But they'd also had an argument that day as well. So then people were like,
yeah,
they've fallen out. They've been fighting. And
So
then
all
happened.
of the little things fit, as far as the boyfriend goes. So yeah, everybody was kind of looking at him, and it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. They did roadblocks in town. Then they found out that, there was this eyewitnesses who saw this motorbike, and it stood out on the trail because motorbikes aren't allowed. So, people started talking about, seeing this motorbike and this guy on this motorbike, and that would have fit the time frame.
Yeah.
So all of that started to come together, and it was just 3 months of everyone being on edge. So I kind of get how it must feel and felt in Rogersville. And, in all these areas where these things happen, and when they sit unsolved, it's very unsettling. So
It is unnerving.
They
'cause
did
you don't
roadblocks
know-
have you seen this car? Have you seen this motorcycle? They had the composite sketch, and they were really trying hard to find him.
Yeah, it's scary.
So how they actually located him is he was in Armada. So why he was there in the first place? He didn't live in Armada. He lived in Goodall's Township, which is where that big ass house was. Goodall's Township was probably about a half an hour out in the country, over Scott Skull's way more. So, more towards, out in the boonies. So he lived more out in the country than Armada was. So anyways, he came to Armada Village because his brother lived there. And his brother wasn't home. So he tooled around on his bike. Now, mind you, he had a girlfriend at home with a child. And her children also lived there. Her children from another, I think one or two from another. In that big house with his parents, which was an absolute disaster with dog shit and everything everywhere inside. You would not know from the outside that it was absolutely disgusting inside. But anyways, he lived there with, his girlfriend. So he's tooling around in Armada, waiting for, his brother to get home, smoke some dope, whatever they're going to do. And he's riding around and he sees April. And we don't know really at what exact point he sees April. But when that text was sent at 6:28 to Austin, her fitness app with the timestamp shows right prior to that her moving, faster, walking faster.
Yeah.
And
it said that she kind of zigzagged afterwards.
She'd
just been walking at 3 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden she was zigzagging all over the place.
Yes, and the zigzagging was the attack. So when you can tell on the fitness app footage that when he approaches her, she must, be like, ooh, gross. like, I don't know what he did, but then she picks up the pace. And she goes
so
from a stroll to a fast, brisk walk.
And she turned around and she was going the other way, wasn't she? Faster.
Yes.
Like she was walking away
She
from him.
changed direction and she started going faster. And then you see the zigzag, and that's the attack.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's watch this next clip, and then we'll go from there, because this gives us a little more info, too. It's heartbreaking, honestly.
And also what's weird as well is that he left his house at the same time she did to go for a walk.
That's when he left to go over to Armada. Yeah, I mean, it lined up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Poor girl. Oh, and I just want to say before I play this, that's one thing I always tell my daughter. I tell my daughter, you know, these kinds of people like him, they think about this shit all the time.
Yeah.
We think about it for a second. We might hear a story and we think, yeah, we got to keep our guard up. But these mofos, they're sick. So he's cruising around waiting for his brother to get home. He can't just be a normal person and just cruise around. He's got to see a 14-year-old girl, follow her, try to make an advance on her. And then he doesn't like that because he thinks he's something, and then attacks her. He came up behind her and hit her in the back of the head with his helmet.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
So I think he sneak attacked her right when you see those zigzags. I think that was the sneak attack. All right. And here he is being arraigned on those charges that everyone was anxiously awaiting. And he is very, very cocky. And mind you, her mother is sitting in court and he keeps turning around, and that's who he's looking at. That's who he's looking at.
VanCallis, want to give us your name and address for the court record?
James Donald VanCallis, 8744 Marquette Road, Goodalls, Michigan, 48027.
Mr. VanCallis, I want to advise you that you're charged on or about July 24th of this year in the village of Armada, Macomb County. Count 1, homicide, murder in the first degree, that is with premeditation, of April Dawn Millsap. That is a felony punishable by life in prison without parole. Count 2, homicide, felony murder. That is a felony punishable by life imprisonment without parole. At the same date, time, and place, you're charged with count 3, criminal sexual conduct, assault with intent to commit sexual penetration. That is a felony potentially punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment. Do you understand the nature of the charge?
Yes.
You have an absolute right to be represented by an attorney. We noted Mr. Ancuni's appearance today on your behalf. In the event that you're unable to afford an attorney and you economically qualify, the court would appoint an attorney to act on your behalf. You have a right to a trial in this matter before the court or before a jury.
Look at his
You also
forehead.
have an absolute
His
right to remain
veins were
silent.
popping out.
Anything that you say orally or in writing could be used against you in court. You would have a right to have Mr. Ancuni present during any questioning that you might consent to. Do you understand those constitutional rights, Mr. VanCallis?
Absolutely.
Mr. Ancuni, how is Mr. VanCallis pleading on this?
He's standing mute, Your Honor.
Very well. I note that he stands mute. I'll enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. Mr. VanCallis, one of your very important rights as a Michigan citizen is that of a preliminary examination on these felony charges here at the district court level. At that preliminary examination, it would be the burden of the people, through the prosecuting attorney, to establish probable cause to believe the crimes have been committed and that you committed them. If the prosecutor carried that burden of proof, then this matter would move on to the circuit court in the county seat of Mount Clemens for trial. Do you understand that?
Absolutely.
Very well. That's to be set within 14 days.
Your Honor.
Mr. Ancuni, we should note at this point, we did have a chambers conference prior and we discussed scheduling.
There's our prosecutor.
Our calendar's all out. Is there a waiver of that 14 days?
There is, Your Honor. I personally discussed with Mr. VanCallis what a preliminary examination is and the fact that he can have that examination within 14 days. He is voluntarily waiving that right to have it within 14 days.
Is that correct, Mr. VanCallis?
Yes, it is.
All right, I'm satisfied. I'll accept the waiver of the 14 days. Now, one of the things we discussed with our calendars all out in front of us was scheduling on this, and we had my chief administrative clerk in with us, and we have decided, are we all in agreement, that this is appropriate for a pre-exam conference, given the amount of evidence, documents, all those things to be gone through, to be given to the defense, that would be the most appropriate way to proceed here, to set a pre-exam conference?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We do, Your Honor. I would like the record to reflect that I am anticipating an enormous amount of evidence in this case, and if, in fact, when we come back on the conference date, if I'm not fully prepared at that point, based on the amount of evidence, I would possibly be requesting another conference date after the date.
Well, I understand that. But let's see how things go. I know I've got very good counsel here on all sides, and I expect every effort to work hard and get all of that done. And what I'll want at the pre-exam conference is a report as to how that exchange of documents, discovery, of course we call it, how that stands. So we'll be able to review it at that point. And we did come up with a date that was agreeable with all counsel and the court. Madam Clerk, our pre-exam conference is going to be a Thursday afternoon.
Thursday, November 13th.
Thursday, November 13th. That'll be at 1:30 sharp, gentlemen. All right. And I did want to set my understanding,
Okay.
Mr. Cataldo, is that you anticipate the examination to be perhaps 2 days.
Yes, sir.
So court needs to set, be careful how it sets it. I have otherwise busy.
Okay, that's VanCallis' mom right there.
2 days in December for this examination.
Monday, December 15th and Tuesday, December 16th.
All right, very well.
And that's the guy in prison.
Now, we will discuss, of course, where this all stands at the time of the November 13th pre-exam conference. I do want to address the issue of bond here. Who wants to speak on behalf of the people? Mr. Smith?
Your Honor, I would vote to tell on behalf of the people. We know that Mr. VanCallis has had numerous contacts in this community with law enforcement. This is, as the investigation has shown, a violent, senseless, and most likely random act that has shaken the confidence of this community on that trail. Law enforcement has done a wonderful job to do an investigation and make an arrest in this case. Based on those elements, Your Honor, we would ask that no bond be set as allowed for heinous crimes under the statute. We believe that this type of charge and these charges qualify, and we would ask this court set no bond in this matter.
Mr. Ancuni?
Mr. VanCallis has lived his entire life in the state of Michigan, Your Honor. He has ties to the community. He lives within 20 minutes of the courthouse. He obviously wants to see these charges come to the appropriate end. He has retained counsel. He's treated this matter seriously with myself and with his entire family. We all believe that he will return to court at each and every court date if he is given a bond. We do understand the seriousness of the charges. However, we don't want someone's life completely destroyed if this case takes an enormous amount of time to come to its final conclusion. We do believe that it could be some while before there is a trial in this case. And if Mr. VanCallis is found not guilty of these charges, he will suffer irreparable harm at that point by being in custody for a very long period of time. We do understand that Your Honor is inclined to have a high bond or no bond in this case, but we would ask it to be simply a high bond. So in the event that Mr. VanCallis can post a bond, even if it's on some type of GPS tether, so his activity and whereabouts can be monitored, that would ensure to the court that we know where he is at all times, but that would also mean that in the event that he is found not guilty of this crime, and he's presumed innocent right now of this crime, so if he's found not guilty in the end, we don't want him to go ahead and serve an enormous amount of time in jail if that's the case. So we would ask that Your Honor give a bond, even if it's a high amount, that it's something reasonable, that if it can be posted, he can show to this court that he intends to return to court each and every time. Thank you.
The court's thought very carefully about this, and I'd like to make a few comments. Of course, looking at the case that I have here today, the allegations here, as serious as possible. The allegations here, I use that word and I emphasize, extremely violent. Mr. VanCallis has a felony drug charge pending in another county.
Okay, why did he freeze?
I was just thinking the same.
All right, well, let's see if it picks back up. I don't know. Maybe it's their footage.
And he has a long history in this court. My efficient clerk staff told his previous court contact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 9 of them right there, albeit all misdemeanor contacts. And one of them, the 10th one, certainly caught my attention when I looked at it. He was on probation to this court on a shoplifting charge and twice disappeared on us for months at a time and got probation violations for disappearing and not reporting. Certainly not impressive when the court's considering the issue of bond. But given all those reasons, I believe it appropriate. I'm going to order Mr. VanCallis held without bond. Is there anything else to come before the court?
Nothing on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Nothing, Your Honor. Although we have not received the actual physical charging document in this case, we would ask that the prosecutor's office provide us with a copy.
We'll turn one over immediately, Your Honor.
All right, very well. And if there are problems between now and our November 13th pre-exam conference date that address them to the court, don't hesitate to. I'll make myself very available if there's any issues about discovery or anything I can do to speed the process along. And I state that to both sides. All right?
We thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, so what do you think of that?
Well, he maintained his innocence, didn't he, the whole way through, and he never showed any remorse. Like,
none.
He looked mad as hell when he was stood there. He even smiled at one point as well, which I thought was pretty disgusting, when he was talking to his lawyer.
Yeah, I was like trying to figure out what he could have possibly been thinking, being like having that cocky attitude.
Yeah, well, because he thinks that he can get away with it because there was no. I mean, there was a lot of like circumstantial evidence and stuff.
Right, but there was no
there
DNA
was no DNA
evidence.
because he made sure he got rid of that. So I think he thought he wasn't going to get caught for it, and his mom believed him as well.
Oh, his mom, yeah, his mom was his biggest supporter, which is typical. I mean,
but she believed he was set up, though. I mean,
she believed that he was freaking set up.
Yeah. Like they couldn't pin it on anyone else, so they just pinned it on him. Never mind the fact that he was actually there.
Right, and it was even more than that. It was the surveillance camera as well. So when he took her backpack, okay, so he assaulted her. What he did was he came up behind her, hit her with the helmet, drug her off of the trail, into the woods, just slightly off the trail. And there was a small wooded area between the trail and a neighborhood. And there's actually like a little path that you can walk to the trail from this neighborhood. She was right in that patch of woods. He drug her in there, and it's horrific. So trigger warning. But he drug her in there, and he was trying to take her clothes off. He had pulled her top up, and he had pulled her pants down, and we think he got spooked by someone on the trail. Like he heard someone. Then he ended up crushing her with his feet. I believe on her chest. And there were
her neck.
What was it?
Her neck. That's how she died.
Her neck. He stopped. He stomped on her neck. And there was a shoe imprint. And this was part of the evidence, was the imprint that was left on her poor neck.
Yeah, so he'd stomped on her so hard that it was like they could see the whole imprint.
Yeah, to find out that it was an Air Jordan tennis shoe.
Yeah.
So they found out that it was an Air Jordan. They went to his home after seeing his bike in a driveway in Armada. So
his bike was distinctive as well because he'd had it modified or something.
Yes, he did. He had his bike modified, so it wasn't like a stock, and it was sitting in a driveway in the village, and a cop was driving through the village, went to the door and said, "Hey, whose bike is that?" You know? And he says, "Oh, that's not my bike. That's my buddy's bike, James." Oh, okay. So they go out to the VanCallis house. And that's when they ask for his shoes that he was wearing. And he gave them a pair of K-Swiss. And when he gave them the K-Swiss, we find out later, he told his girlfriend, if they ask, tell them I was wearing my K-Swiss.
Yeah, well, he told everyone in the house to say that he was wearing those shoes.
Because he knew, right?
Yeah, and he also got rid of his other ones as well. So his like brand new Nike Jordans that he kept them clean. He looked after them. He wore them all the time. But then he got rid of them, put them in a box, got rid of them.
Gone.
Said all he had was the K-Swiss ones, but they were like beat up shoes. He never wore them. They were old. Why would you get rid of your brand new Nike Jordans for some K-Swiss?
And where they screwed up was when they were under surveillance, they did not get their garbage. So those shoes might have went to, because they threw out a lot of shit. And it was picked up. And they couldn't find it. So, yeah, so at any rate, they go there, they get the shoes, and they actually find out that he did own a pair of Air Jordans from his Facebook. There's a picture of him in the Jordans.
Yeah, lots of pictures of him in them.
And they used those in court. So that was part of their evidence. They did not have the DNA, but they did have that. It was one of the things. So I think we should watch some of the opening statements from his lawyer. So like the plastic guy that you saw as his lawyer, after the prelim or after that arraignment, he had this other lawyer. And he's the one that I actually met in person at the courthouse. And he was actually a really, really cool guy. He did not want to defend this man any more than you and I wanted to see him defended. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So after it was all said and done at the sentencing was when I talked to him at length about everything. You know, he just basically said, you know, he's a POS.
Yeah, and you can tell as well because when he's talking, he's really flat and like not engaging or anything. He didn't have a lot to go on. You could tell that he didn't believe in what he was saying.
No, and he did not. No, and he just genuinely did not like him and did not like his family.
Yeah.
And that would be a really hard job to have. I've always said that I would not want that job. Somebody's got to do it.
I could never do that. Yeah. I admire people that can because I could not.
And he actually agreed to interview with me when everything was said and done, and I never revisited that. It'd be kind of interesting.
It would be interesting.
But yeah, all right, let's watch a little bit of his opening statements. He wasn't like the most impressive, you know, like the prosecutor. Everyone's like, oh, is that Einstein? He literally looks like Albert Einstein, but he is an amazing prosecutor and very entertaining to watch.
Very passionate.
So let's watch a little bit of, I can't remember this lawyer's name. I'd have to look, my bad. But let's watch a little bit of him and see what he's going to say in defense of this douchebag.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
And I have to apologize in advance. Their audio was absolutely horrid.
Yeah.
I tried to fix it. Like, this is me fixing it. But Scary Mary is the judge. She was well known in Macomb County as being a hard ass. A hard ass. And I was in a Facebook group at this time, and one of the guys from our Facebook group was like, "Oh, I live in Mount Clemens. I'll go to the opening statements." And he went in there and he took a picture like a dum-dum and put it on Facebook, and someone turned him in, and she ripped him a new one before they began court. It wasn't the opening, it was one of the trial days. She ripped him a new asshole before they started court, and he was never allowed back there. And it was like, why'd you do that, idiot? Oh,
you wouldn't make that mistake again.
She made a fool of him in front of everyone, too. It was kind of funny. Okay, so here we go.
I really enjoy what I do, and I've been doing it for a couple of decades. I think the only person that enjoys their job more is her honor. She's been a judge a little longer than I've been practicing law. And I'm a realist when it comes to this. One of the first things we...
Oh, shoot. That's where that ends. Hang on. Let's pick it up over here. Is it hard to understand? Because if it's too hard to understand, I won't play it. If you guys can't really understand what he's saying, let's get into it a little bit, and then I'll check back with you. If you can't, let me know.
Now what happens? The prosecutor gets up here and tells you that the crime is brutal, it's sad, to a great degree unplanned, and there's no discrepancy about that. What does he tell you? That it's mostly about who. And how much time did he spend on the who? Very little time. Let me tell you a few things. First of all, the word trial, in some language, I think it's Latin, it's supposed to mean the search for the truth. So when you do that, it's not like, Mr. Talbot, Mr. Daly versus Mr. HRT. It's supposed to be finding the truth.
Wait, what?
So when it comes to the truth, let me tell you a few things that we're not bringing it up to. Let's talk about...
Okay, is it too hard to understand?
It's not playing for me.
You guys should have been able to hear it. Oh, there's Lizzie Bones again. You guys should have been able to hear it, though. You couldn't hear it?
I can't hear it. I don't know if they
on
can.
YouTube. You'd have to hear it on YouTube. That's why. He's doing the muffle shuffle. Yeah, for real. Oh, it's actually picking up on the closed caption. All right, that's cool. If it's doing that, that's cool. All right, let's play a little bit.
April 1st. April's 14 years old, lives in the city of Armada with her mom, her stepdad, 2 dogs, and a cat, and is a very happy young lady. This is July 24, 2014. It's a Thursday. She's out of school. She gets up about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Her mother will testify to that. And she plays back and forth on the computers. There's one in her bedroom and there's one in the living room. The stepfather, the mother, and April each have their own computers. And they kind of, use them back and forth. So she's spending most of her day on the computer. About 5:30, she's going to go out and walk the dog. They have 2 dogs. It's always April's chore, if you would call it, to walk the dog. Sometimes she walks them both, sometimes she walks one. On this particular day, she walks the black one, which is Border Collie and Lab mixed. The dog's name is Penny. Before she goes out, she changes her clothes 3 times. The mother will testify to that, for whatever it's worth. It's to decide what to wear as she goes to walk this dog. And at 5:30, she leaves her house. And it's very sad and tragic. Whatever happened to her in between that time, we know that at approximately 8:19 or 8:20 is when Mr. Siraj calls 911, Macomb County Sheriff's Deputy, and says, "We think we've seen a body." It's a horrible thing that happened in April, but if those of you who watch TV and stuff, I think from parents' point of view, just having a missing child is just so horrible. At least thank God that it wasn't, a long period of time. I guess maybe I'm trying to, I think of some comfort for Mrs. Millsap, but within 3 hours later. What they didn't tell you is that at 6:28 and 6:30, well, first of all, at 6:28, she did send that text. She sent a text that said, as you heard, "I'm about to be kidnapped, OMFG." Then, from 6:30 to 6:31, this is 2 minutes, she makes 3 telephone calls to a number, an 810 number. We still don't know to this day who that number is, who that person is. The 3 calls are all to that same number. And
oops. Okay. So that number, I actually had it. And we could not figure out who it was. It was like this strange 810 number. After she said I was almost kidnapped, OMFG, and there's like these calls that go through, boom, boom, boom. And no one knows. No one knows if it was a butt dial of some sort.
Yeah, that's what I saw, that it was like he might have put her phone in his pocket or something and was accidentally dialing out.
Or
So
like
it's literally one
grabbed
after the other,
it
like-
out of her hand.
Yeah, it was like a minute between each one, so they were just one after the other.
Very weird though, because that number does not come back. And you mean to tell me like investigators, they couldn't figure out whose number it was? I was always
Yeah.
stunned by that.
And plus, if you think it was doing, like if it was a butt dial, it would be a number that was already in the phone if you're hitting
Exactly.
call.
Exactly.
Because you wouldn't have time to type those numbers in, so.
Exactly. That's what I thought was really strange, unless he knocked her out and then used her phone to call someone, but seems
But
very
weren't
unlikely.
they like business numbers or something though?
It didn't come back to anything. It came back when I called it, but you know what? That was, well after when the evidence was released and I was able to see the number. It just said that the call, something like, could not be completed, or they couldn't take my call
like,
at this
it
time.
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, maybe a burner phone, but why?
Oh yeah, that's weird. Maybe.
Yeah, it was just like this unsolved mystery out of this case. It always kind of bothered me. Because at first I thought that holds the key. Whoever that phone call was to, man, they know something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a big nothing.
She has told her mom that somebody in a black pickup truck has been kind of following her around, and she finds it kind of creepy. This is not stuff that I'm making up. This is not some defense attorney coming up with some sleazy stories to try to get his client off like most people think on TV. These are the truths that you will hear from the victim's mother.
So it is true that April did tell her mom that she saw someone in a black pickup following her that was creeping her out.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
It is weird. It is weird.
And she will tell you that. They're not going to deny any of this. So it makes you think a little bit, what was going on? Because some of the things that you're not going to see is, well, first of all, Armada is a small town, as I think we all realize. It's a small village. But they've been very, very professional. The minute that this situation occurred, it's very sad to find a young 14-year-old girl deceased like that, nude, and you know what happened to her. They called for the FBI, they called from the Macomb County Sheriff's Office, I think the marshals, and the Armada Police Department. So this is not a case of Mayberry and we don't have any because nobody knew how to look for it or nobody didn't look for it. We have a case here we had right from the beginning. We had FBI, we had the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, we had the Armada Police Department, and I think federal marshals. Drones were used to go all over the area. If you remember any of this, some of the TV coverage, cars were stopped every along the way. You heard Mr. Daly talk about 1,000 tips. And that's true. All those tips came in. You know what? How many of them had to do with Mr. VanCallis? Zero. Zero. Not one had to do with this guy. Now, start the investigation and so forth and go forward. As he indicated to you, there was a blunt force trauma to, I believe, the left side of April's head. All along, initially, if you remember from some of the press coverage you may or may not have seen, we thought that there was a motorcycle helmet. I don't know if any of you remember hearing that or not, some of the stories that were out there. Before any analysis is done on the helmet, before any results are back, Mr. VanCallis is charged. There are about 20 lab tests that are done. And I don't want to be vulgar, but they go as far as taking his pubic hair, even his rectal hair, fingernails, clippings, every single thing from him, as they did with April, and they send them out to see if there's any kind of match, any kind of DNA, all of those reports, each and every one of them comes back absolutely zero. There is nothing. So this is not a case where there is nothing because nobody looked, nobody collected, nobody knew how to look, or nobody knew how to collect or analyze. All of that was done with, I dare say, the top echelon that you could get of everybody working together in that regard.
Okay, I'm actually going to skip forward because I can't understand a frickin' thing he's saying. So let's go a little bit forward. And we're going to watch. Let's see. What is this part? There's a few highlights from this, though, that I actually want to show real quick. All right, let's start here.
I've got the tape. I got it from them.
Okay, this is where it gets a little dicey.
This is looking at this. It's okay. How can we get shoes to match this? They're not presenting any shoes that did any of this.
So he talks about the shoes. We talked about how he said he was wearing K-Swiss, but the imprint on April's body was an Air Jordan.
Yeah.
Also, what came into play was the helmet. So his helmet, we think he gave the investigators a different helmet. However, we don't know.
They couldn't even find his DNA on the helmet.
There was no DNA on the bike helmet whatsoever. That was supposedly the murder weapon.
Yeah.
Well, it subdued her. We don't know. Blunt force trauma, I think, was her cause of death.
She had blunt force trauma, and she also hemorrhaged as well.
Oh,
so
man.
it was hard enough for her to have a brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, he hit her very hard with that helmet. I just cannot believe there would be nothing. That he is just not that good. So he's going on about the shoes, and because basically all they had was a picture of him in the shoes. So now they're talking about this helmet, and there was a couple of issues with the helmet. Not only the DNA, but also they were saying, VanCallis was saying, there's no way anyone could identify me through the helmet and the shield, and the way that the helmet sits on his head. So he insisted on demonstrating, and they had the actual helmet in court, and it got really dicey. But I think this is where the bike helmet discussion begins. So let's see. Let's take a look at that.
And Kristen was a different kind of young lady. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say anything to bash her or to demean her in any way. When she's here to listen for testimony, some of the things she says are pretty incredulous. If you're sitting right there, you really think that this SOB just walked into your house where you live with 2 kids, and he has just killed somebody, and he said, baby, stick out, we're getting this together. And he's giving the wrong shoes to the police. You think I'm going to just stay quiet and not say anything? Just relax and everything's fine and stuff until finally the police tell you, Crystal, who's going to watch your kids? And then all of a sudden, anything, whatever you want me to say, I will say. And then she starts saying all kinds of other things.
Oh, this is about the ex.
So not relevant here, but I mean, like I told you, it's like a 4 or 5 hour CD, you know? But the third one, the one where she sings these things. So again, you need to take that with a grain of salt as well. It doesn't make any sense.
His ex-girlfriend testified about the shoes. She woke up, she saw him cleaning the bottom of the Jordans. She saw him cleaning the motorcycle helmet.
And he was cleaning them with hand sanitizer.
With hand sanitizer. So,
and
I mean,
never clean stuff.
No. And like the helmet, wouldn't you think if he bashed her over the head that severely, there would be some kind of like DNA blood on the padding?
Yeah. Someone in chat said that you can clean the exterior of a bike helmet really easily, but they didn't find his DNA inside it either.
Yeah, like it was brand
nothing.
new. It was brand new.
Like no one had worn it.
I know it's really hard to understand, you guys. I'm sorry. This is the best audio. This is the only audio, and then I took some of the background noise out. So this is actually improved. They have it like way too loud. It's like distorted.
Yeah.
Now, I think that they mentioned something about motivation, which, true to the law, they don't have to ever explain to you any kind of motivation. Most guys come up with something, these two people don't know each other.
He's talking about motivation. What was VanCallis' motivation? This is where these two kind of go toe-to-toe.
My objection is there doesn't be no testimony. That tape isn't even coming in unless he introduces it, so I don't know where he's getting the testimony. You can't make assumptions about what I'm going to say.
Excuse me.
To prove something.
Excuse me.
Yes, John.
When I talk, you stop. That's how it works in this court, always. I don't know that he's not going to introduce the tape.
But the damage is done by him saying it.
Don't get smart with me.
I'm telling you right now that testimony's not coming in. He shouldn't be allowed to say it.
And you got some way of bringing this testimony in?
I've got the tape, Your Honor. I got it from them. Correct.
Please. Are you somehow introducing it where you're going to get it into evidence lawfully?
I think so.
Then how are you going to get the identification of your client on that bike? And we're making that claim.
I'm not. I'm going to show you what you're asking.
What about the judge? Objections are made to the judge. The judge rules on the objection, and you speak to me.
And I am indicating to you that I am indicating to you there will be no witness that's going to come on the stand from our side and indicate that's Mr. VanCallis on the motorcycle so he can make this argument about making his left-hand turn.
Your Honor, as you know, we submitted a witness list. We have 34 witnesses. Mr. Look at possibly how each and every one of them are testifying.
Juries to be instructed that the attorney's openings are not evidence, and you may proceed.
I will move on. They should speak for themselves.
I told you, Scary Mary don't play around.
I was just about to say, I can see why she's Scary Mary. Wow.
Okay. So let's fast forward. Let's see some more action here from the... Here we go. Here is my famous Detroit news. I love my Detroit newscasters. I miss watching the Detroit news.
Testimony was followed by a bold move by the defense.
Quite a courtroom stunt, Kimberly and Devin. Defense attorneys put that defendant back into his motorcycle helmet to try to cast doubt for jurors about whether a witness could positively identify him with his face partially concealed in that way. Now, William Buchanan is a bicyclist. He is confidently identifying defendant James VanCallis as the man he saw on the day of the 14-year-old's murder in Armada. Buchanan was a frequent rider on the Macomb Orchard Trail. He vividly recalls seeing a motorcyclist in a helmet and peering into the man's face as he rode by, distinctly remembering big eyes. He identified him as the defendant, James VanCallis.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how certain are you?
It's a 10.
Why are you so certain?
Look him in the eye.
Moments later, heading in the opposite direction, a teenage girl with long hair in her face entering a tunnel of trees less than 40 feet away. He could not identify her as April Millsap. Under cross-examination, defense attorney Azar Sheikh put VanCallis in his helmet.
Can you even tell if he has facial hair in terms of mustache?
But Buchanan's confidence in his identification did not waver.
What do you think? Because Buchanan said he had facial hair and he remembered the big eyes.
I mean, his eyes are pretty distinctive. I think you'd recognize them anywhere.
Right. And I think that they're forgetting the fact that motorcycles aren't allowed on the trail.
Right, exactly.
So there wasn't like more than one report of a douchebag on the bike trail with a helmet on.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at that image of him there, like, you can see his eyes.
Oh,
like, you'd be able to recognize his eyes.
Clearly.
And there were 2 witnesses as well that picked up on his eyes. So, I mean...
And the composite sketch caught his eyes
Yeah.
perfectly.
I could still see the eyes and the sharp features that I recognized.
Amy Spinella was also on the trail that day. She later saw April's dog in the bushes, a white male nearby, and a motorcycle with a black helmet resting upon it. While she couldn't positively identify VanCallis,
I made eye contact with the person that was out there. His eyes were very piercing, very like he had done something wrong.
Yikes, Ashley. That's kind of a... I don't know if I'd want to be convicted on a statement like that.
What did she say? I couldn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forget you can't. Dang it. Why can't you hear?
I don't know. I can only hear it on YouTube, so I have to mute and then try and listen, but it's delayed, so I missed the end.
I'm sorry. Well, she said he had eyes that were piercing and looked like he had done something wrong.
Yeah, so he kind of turned.
Yeah.
And they locked eyes, and he looked like he'd just been...
He looked like he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, so to speak. But I just want to say, I know Amy personally, and it was so insane because we had talked about the case. I mean, in passing, I didn't see her all the time, but we had seen each other and just briefly talked about the, Jennifer, and because we were all bringing her meals, and there was things going on. But I had no idea that she was a witness, and she did not say a word to anyone. Her and her mom were on that trail, and she didn't say a thing till after.
And she basically caught him in the act as well.
Yes, she was the one, I think, that spooked him.
Yeah.
And she was also...
It was right after that he took off.
Yes.
With her stuff.
Yep. So he took off with her backpack, and he proceeded to drive through that neighborhood I told you about that was on the other side of that wooded section.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of cameras picked him up driving through that neighborhood.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue with Amy. Miss Amy.
And she got out of there with her mother. The next day, Amy's father told her that someone was murdered in that park. She thought he was kidding, and then she cautiously asked if a black dog was involved. And she burst into tears on the stand as she recalled just how close she was to the crime and perhaps a killer.
Trial of James VanCallis.
Let's get you caught.
I have goosebumps. So Amy's dad, her and her mom were on the trail. They went home and they were like, God, that was weird. Said, oh, we encountered this weird guy or whatever. Well, anyways, her dad says somebody got murdered on the trail, the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody got murdered on the trail last night. And she had seen Penny. And she said, oh my God, did it involve a black dog?
I can't even imagine that realization that, like, you were there.
You were there. You were there.
Yeah, that's awful.
Like, you made him run.
Mm-hmm.
She made him run.
And then thinking as well, like, what could they have done to help her? But, I mean, by that point, they couldn't, but...
So, yeah, after she left, after her and her mom kept going, then, Penny is there, right? April's in the woods, deceased.
Yeah.
And Penny is running to the trail and then back in the woods, barking. To the trail, to the woods. Several people saw this barking dog, and they were like, who's the fucking dog? Like, someone lose their dogs? This dog lost? Whatever. Well, that couple that called 911 paid attention to Penny. And they were like, wait a minute. She keeps running in. They watched her for a minute because she wasn't like attacking them. She was barking to get their attention, standing at the edge of the trail where the grass meets the trail. And let me show you.
And I think that he tried to grab the dog as well, because when she was found, she didn't have a collar or anything on.
She did not. Nope. But we don't know if that was VanCallis. We thought maybe he took, at the beginning, we thought, oh, God, maybe he took the collar.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, why would he take the collar, right? Shit. What was that? Oh, my remote. Anyways, I was going to show you guys these pictures. Hold on a second. Before we go on. Well, let's finish with this news clip here. And then I have something else I want to show. I want to show these pictures of the actual trail and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Melon, I've got to figure out where I'm sharing to. Can you see?
Up with what happened in court.
Can you see on Melon or no?
No, I can't see anything.
You can't see on Melon?
I cannot.
Okay, well, let me see if I can share on Melon so that you can see. Oops, wrong screen. Let's try this again. Here we go. Okay. Ready? Let's go.
Today, first, the day started with VanCallis' internet search history being entered into evidence, and it included cryptic searches, maybe not so cryptic, like how to know if a girl's interested in you. Also, a fingerprint expert testified saying the prints found on April's phone and backpack were inconclusive. But the bombshell that Kimberly mentioned came at the end of the day with VanCallis' ex-girlfriend taking the stand. Mara McDonald following this story for us. It got pretty startling here, Mara.
It sure.
Okay, we're going to talk about the girlfriend, but the internet searches.
There was a lot of searches as well. It wasn't even just that.
There was a lot.
Yeah, he'd been searching like 6 days before this happened. Why would a girl say hi to me, or why would a girl say that I'm too old for her?
What does it mean? Does a girl mean it when she says you're too old?
Yeah, there were a lot. And it was on YouTube as well. So was he searching for videos or what? Like, weird.
Creepy. Creep town, dude. He's definitely where he needs to be.
Yeah, so I think that he had seen her before. He probably met her on that trail before.
That's what we think. Maybe he's seen her. It was her routine.
Yeah.
Funny, like you said, funny how he left at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So he knew that she takes evening walks with her dog.
Okay. Let's watch what his ex-girlfriend handed to him.
Sure did, Devin. As a matter of fact, she is still on the stand as we speak. And she started the day talking about how she found her now ex-boyfriend in the middle of the night cleaning his shoes. It got worse for him from there. Crystal Stadler was living with James VanCallis at the time April Millsap was murdered along the Macomb Orchard Trail. She details in court how VanCallis was out of the house at the time April was killed, and how when her then boyfriend returned home, he was acting really weird. For starters, she woke up in the middle of the night to see him cleaning his shoes, something he never did. And then...
Does he say anything to you when he comes back to bed?
Yeah, that he messed up and he needed me to stand by his side.
Stadler's testimony gets worse for VanCallis.
That he messed up and he needs me to stay by his side.
That says it already, doesn't it?
Right?
How can you say you did nothing after you've said that to your girlfriend when you got home?
Right. And she testified too to, like, I woke up in the middle of the night and asked him, what are you doing? And like, I think he gave her those eyes. And she was like, oh, fuck. That means I don't say shit.
Well, she said that he was abusive and controlling, so...
Yeah, and so were his parents. So get this. You know how I said that they were living there with his dad and mom? Well, the dad and the mom were on one side of that house. And then Crystal and James and the children were on the other side. And they would only allow, his dad and mom would only allow Crystal to have water for like certain times of the day. And I don't even understand it because they were on a well. So like, why do they care? So she had to like do her laundry at certain times. She, had to plan around when they would let her have the water.
And
the house was disgusting. Oh, I know, with little kids there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the house they had tons of dogs and puppies. And they had dog shit everywhere. And they were growing marijuana in there. It was just a mess.
Yeah, well, they said like he was cleaning his helmet and his shoes, but nothing else in that house was being cleaned.
Yeah. He's going to get out hand sanitizer for his shoes, but he's not using soap on his dirty ass. All right, let's keep going.
Saying he asked her to wash his clothes, something that never happened. And
did you find something unusual in the Carhartt jacket after you washed it?
Yeah.
What was it that you found?
Like wadded up hair and like shavings of grass or like hay.
Hair that she says belonged to a person, not an animal. And then Stadler says VanCallis asked everybody in the house to lie about what kind of shoes he had on the day the young girl was killed.
What was he telling to everybody in the house?
To tell him that he was wearing K-Swiss shoes.
Was he wearing K-Swiss shoes that night?
No.
Back here live, what else struck her as strange about the whole shoe thing? When she woke up in the middle of the night and says she saw him washing his shoes, he was cleaning them with hand sanitizer. Devin, Kim, Back to you.
Now, Mara, they were together at the time of the murder, not anymore. She also talked about their relationship.
She sure did, and she called him abusive and controlling.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why she didn't question him about the hair and stuff, because
She was scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was intimidating. So, when we watched this trial on TV, this is what we saw when the cameras had to be off the people. We either saw this, which I think they thought was rather sick, and then it moved to the judge's trinkets. But I want to play a little bit of the closing arguments from Einstein that everybody likes to call him, but I want you guys to see a little bit of what this man truly did. The magnitude of what he did to my friend's kid.
Yeah, so she had 48 injuries.
48.
So there were 23 bruises just on her head, and then 11 abrasions on her neck.
Yep.
And more than a dozen internal injuries and a brain hemorrhage. So he's vile. Like, he's a monster.
He's a monster.
Attacking a 14-year-old like that, I mean.
And if I didn't see all of this firsthand, I don't know that I would believe all of this. You know, all of this just, it's crazy because we do doubt when we don't have DNA, and we need to stop that. I think we need to stop that way of thinking.
Well, even juries and stuff, I mean, they rely on that. Like 43% of juries rely on DNA evidence, but a lot of cases don't have it. It is circumstantial. So I think...
Yeah, like a lot of us are like knee-jerk, I think. Like we hear, oh, there's no DNA. I think a lot of us that follow true crime closely don't really make that mistake anymore. But a lot of like just normal people who don't obsess on murder and death and mystery, those kind of people, like normal people, they don't.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's hard with DNA because it can be like messed with so easily. Like you can have partial prints and everything, and then it can't be used. So then you've got no DNA evidence.
So you've got to have, you know, more. There were people prosecuted before DNA, so
yeah, exactly.
We have to keep that in mind. All right, so let's see what's happening on closing argument day. And I think too, Hunt, I agree with you. I think it was rejection.
Yeah, absolutely.
He couldn't handle it. He thought that he was the cat's ass. I know, Lizzie Bones. Why do you think I got her up here?
My voice is hot. Lizzie Bones.
She says hot.
Hot.
Okay, so there's the judge's trinkets that they would
little buses.
Zoom in on. So let's see. Oh, we want to watch Shithead get brought in. I don't know. This is going to go kind of long. If we watch all of this. I might just have to play little bits and pieces.
The best bits.
Bits, as they say in the UK. Bits.
Bits and pieces.
Oh, there he is. See, I still think at this point he thinks he's going to get away with it. This is where he looks at Jennifer. Her mother's sitting kitty corner, so she's behind the prosecutors. And so she is an eye shot right over that man's shoulder next to him. And he looks at her, and he looks at the camera, and then his mother's directly behind him. And oh, it made me so angry he did that at the prelim too.
He's gross. He has zero remorse.
Why can't I hear it?
I can't hear it either.
Oh, maybe there's no sound yet. Duh. Yeah, they probably haven't turned on the sound. Here we go. There's Scary Mary. But he constantly talked to his attorney, and you could tell he was getting so annoyed. Oh, I remember something his lawyer told me. His lawyer told me that he kept telling him to shut up, and he kept telling him to stop looking behind him and just look forward, you know? because he would not sit still.
I think we're going to need to take a break after the opening from the prosecutor. Give you about 10 minutes. I have a juror that's indicated they may have some issues. So
All right,
we'll take a break after the prosecutor.
Wait, what?
Thank you.
Why didn't I catch this in the edit?
What did she say?
She said we might have to take a break after the prosecutor, because the juror said they're having some issues.
Oh.
Times that we know now as the dark arts. A familiar was a spirit that was embodied in the form of an animal to protect and serve its owner, master.
Your voice up, please.
Think, if you will, Harry Potter. Harry Potter's familiar was his owl, Hedwig. In this case, Penny was April's familiar in life, and her iPhone is her familiar in death. Penny showed us where the body was, but the iPhone told us who her killer was. And her iPhone told us it's James VanCallis. What did the iPhone tell us? First, it told us where she was murdered. We have that GPS on the path. Second, it told us when she was murdered, at approximately 6:30 or 6:31 on July 24th of 2014. It told us where to find her backpack, as you saw from Agent Zent's recreation through that blue line on that visual, how the motorcycle went up through the path and crossed back into town. And just as importantly, it told us who did not commit this murder. This murder was not committed by somebody on foot. This murder was not committed by somebody riding a bike. Because as you know, people like Landon Buchanan, who ride regularly, got to a maximum speed of approximately 17 miles per hour. The Zent GPS graphic showed you that the average speed was 34 miles per hour, spiking towards 40. We know it wasn't a white van because there was no white van seen on the path or anywhere near the Orchard Trail. And it damn sure wasn't a border collie. What it was a motorcycle. James VanCallis' motorcycle. A motorcycle you've come to see during our proofs, and I'm going to show you in an uninterrupted fashion, that was so unique in its modifications that it became a fingerprint, that it became unique. And that unique fingerprint is owned by James VanCallis. That motorcycle was at the murder with James VanCallis. He was the one who brutally, without reason or shame, stomped April Millsap to death. We know that because the cycle took a path that no other vehicle could take. And we also know that the person that was riding that motorcycle was unique in his knowledge of the area. Because when you see that upper part of Exhibit 33, which I will show you, there's only one road that leads you to Armada Ridge. And it's amazing the number of turns that were made and specifically went to that road. And when the bike from Cost matches the bike at the gas station, which the defense has indicated is James VanCallis, matches the one that we took, is there any doubt left? It told us where her phone could be found, and it also took us past that line, even though Cost turned over that video. The Zent's graphic shows us the picture and confirms the other pictures from the Marathon gas station that it is the right bike. And we're going to show you those pictures in a few minutes. I'm also going to show you rear pictures, and we're going to compare
on high def the motorcycles, the unique fingerprint owned in this case by James VanCallis. But first, let's talk about the premeditation aspect of first degree. There are 4 charges. The first 2 that I want to deal with, the one we're going to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do young girls like older men?
Okay, here's Potato's Google searches. We're gonna skip forward because they were just talking about the charges and explaining those to the jury. But we're gonna play these for Roly Poly Potato. We're gonna play a few of these. Daddy's little fatty. All right, so we're gonna watch a little bit of the searches here that Simpleton kind of reminds me of Chris Watts. Like,
Yeah.
what does it mean when a girl says she loves you?
Yeah. Why does this girl keep looking at
Yeah,
me?
why does this girl say I'm too old for her and still hit on me? Why does
Ugh.
this girl keep looking at me? Why would this girl say I'm too old for her and still hit on me? Why would she say I'm too old for her and still hit on me? He did that more than once.
Yeah, over and over again.
Young girls like older men.
You.
How to make a girl that does not want you to want you.
You.
Blit. And this was on 7/18.
Yeah, literally the week before.
Right before, yep.
2, 1, I guess. I don't know if there is, why does this girl, I don't know if you looked up at YouTube as you say, the use of a helmet is a way to get a girl's attention. And the 2 I didn't put up here, remember, in the same day, he was looking up hypnosis. How to hypnotize somebody when you knock them out.
I forgot he
But-
looked at hypnosis.
Ew.
We know a couple of things from that day from his phone. We know that he was in Armada. We know it several ways. First off, we have his phone at 6:39.
There's his digits, girls.
5:39, I mean, clicking, going along Armada Ridge to the second call at 17:39. And then we come down here to Romeo, where maybe he went to, I guess, the Tim Hortons, but then we have it coming back. So, first thing we know is
he
at
went to the Tim
18:04, at
Hortons.
6:04 p.m., he is in the village of Armada.
So there's his pings right before, and remember, April's text to her boyfriend was at 6:28.
Yeah.
Now we know from the statements he made to Packman that he is in, at that time, the village of Armada. We know from the defense presented here at the Marathon gas station, they're saying that's him in the village of Armada. And we know by looking at that video,
Look
that
at Mary.
motorbike, which he says is him on it, will match the cost one. And we're going to do that in a few minutes because that unique fingerprint, if that's him on that bike there, that's him on the cost video. That's him that did the murder. So, we also know from his phone records at 6:14 and at 6:17, he's making a phone call. All right? We know that the Marathon, this is what the band that Agent Hess put together. We know at the gas station, the Marathon gas station is right there. Armada is that area. He makes 2 phone calls. You heard from Higginson, the first call was very short, may not have been picked up, but you heard from Higginson, the second call was 142 on his phone, 131 on Donnie's phone. That phone is not a voicemail. He picks it up, and they have a conversation. Well, what's the conversation?
Okay, Donnie is James's brother.
Conversation is, hey, I got a gift for you. We know he said that because that's what Donnie said. I got a gift for you. I want to bring it over. What time are you going to be home from work? Well, I don't know. I'm not home yet, but I can let you know. All right, hey, the girls coming? Are they bringing the dope? I want to buy some marijuana. Yeah, the girls will be here. The girls will be here after you get here. So, hey, so I'll let you know when I get home. Yeah, do me a favor. Text me when you get home. Click.
because we know that Donnie's text to him at 6:44 is one word, home. We know from their defense that he's pulling out of that gas station at about 6:18 p.m. So let's play this. Here's the Marathon Station, 6:16.
Here's the surveillance from the gas station.
We can just let it run at its regular time. In a few seconds, you will see a couple of bodies. The two ladies that ride by here eventually, those are Amy and Gail Spinella.
Oh, yeah, you're going to see Amy and her mom.
But again, Armada.
Weird how that all plays out, isn't it?
Stop it right there for a second.
Oh.
No, wrong button.
Go back, guys. Oh, thanks.
All right, let's get a little bit ahead. I want to show you some of the specifics about this motorcycle. Here we go. First of all, you can see the big helmet right there. See the lights right there. He puts down white tennis shoes. White tennis shoes. Now watch. We're going to stop it right in this frame right here. Remember, you can't go left there. Bang, stop it. There's that white fender that we've seen. There's the non-existent fender, which is that black fender. And there's that helmet. We will show that in a different blow-up later on. But that photograph is clear that that's the same bike that we see in the other one. Now, he goes down that way, and he comes back around. We don't need to play that. But then he goes down Church Street. Let's go to the next one.
Now he's going into that neighborhood I told you about.
Obviously, his brother's not home. He has time to waste, I guess, as opposed to using a more graphic term. So he comes off of that and he goes down Church Street. Now we know that he knows that East Main Street or Rita Rich goes to his brother's house because he's been down it already. There is no reason to go down Church Street unless you're going to the trail. And we know at 6:18 or 6:19 he comes around and he's going down Church Street, and at 6:25, 6:26 by the Reschkes, by the Spinellas, by the Steins, by Mr. Buchanan, he's seen on the path. He didn't leave town by turning onto Fulton Street, and we know that for two reasons, because he's seen on the path over here before the murder, and we know that Detective MacArthur watched hours of security video from this business and this business as to Fulton Road. And there were never any videos of that motorcycle or any motorcycle going by at that time. So, regardless, he's over here. What I said before, when you get into this maze here, coming off, as he did, onto Church Street after the murder, there are two ways to get to North Main. You could take any one of these streets or any one of these cuts and not make it. Only somebody who knew that neighborhood would know to come up, go down, come down here, come down, come around, and go specifically on Madison Street to get to East Main. Only somebody that lived in that neighborhood, knows that street, would be able to do that. So we know that he is, in fact, on the path at that time.
Take a drink, sir.
Needs to calm down a little bit.
Wet the whistle.
Yeah.
I want to debunk a couple of myths about this case. First of all, I guess,
Does it go more
who
deep
does Mr.
into
VanCallis
the
think he is, like Al Capone or
GPS? I can't remember if he goes more deep into it.
I
But
don't know. I think they do show it. I can't remember.
yeah, they do. They go more deep. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. They're talking about how eyewitnesses and how reliable that is. But let's take a look at this.
went into both identifications and understand the context of both identifications. So for this purpose right now, you see that this is just a sample of what the Buchanans and the Steins are doing. As they're coming up, you can see that there are no distractions to what they're looking at as they move through.
No, it's
and
so
up and
crazy, you
up.
guys. If you see like that left side picture, that trail, it curves to the right up there. Thank you, Just a Gypsy. It curves to the right up there. And I went out there with April's mom because she did not know exactly where she was found. So we kind of went out there just because we figured we'd be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And because you see on the GPS, that she comes around this curve. So it's like right after that curve. Like you go up and you go around that curve. And then the picture on the right is actually where she was back in, but it was not very far back. If you see that opening where the dirt is, on either side there's trees. It was just right beyond there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very far off. So I'm sure he looked up, like Amy Spinella said, and she saw those eyes.
Yeah, it's like he chose that moment because he could see that there was no one on the path at that moment.
Yeah, but like quickly they can come upon you from that curve. You know what I'm saying? Like they can come up on you pretty quick, especially if they're on a bike.
Yeah.
Somebody where when Miss Spinella goes past, you have not only distance, you have foliage, and we'll talk about the fear in just a second. But I think Amy Spinella should be given some credit in her testimony here. There's an old Indian proverb that says, once you come to a fork in the road, you can take either the path of conscience or the path of convenience. She came to this court and she took the path of conscience. How easy would it have been for her to just simply say, because there's no way anybody could have done anything different, say, well, my composite wasn't as nice or wasn't as good, or maybe I made a mistake in the composite, but that's the person I saw on the path. She didn't do that. She took the...
They were trying to discredit her eyewitness testimony, I guess.
Yes.
Now, in Mary Stein's situation...
And he goes over each witness. Let's see. Here we go. Here's that dumbass. This is what I wanted to show.
If there is an organization called Engineers Anonymous, I will join. Because I have been rehabilitated. Geez, was I wrong about engineers? I came to maybe have a change of heart because he was so clear, so unflappable in both his testimony here and in what happened during that test as to what he saw, why he saw it, and how clear he was about what he saw. And we know what he saw was correct because Mr. VanCallis gave us a picture of himself from his phone, taken from an elevated position, that shows, oh, what's that? It's a mustache.
Facial hair.
One that he wouldn't let be seen during this fake example, as Mr. Buchanan was trying to say. The lights are wrong, the path is wrong, there's no speed, the height is wrong, everything was wrong about that. But it really didn't matter because in a picture he took of himself, you see his mustache. Moving on.
Okay, so right here, these are the things that the witnesses said. So the eyewitnesses all thought these things. Thought they were together, thought they might have been boyfriend and girlfriend, maybe stepfather or an older boyfriend. Something was wrong. It looked like they had a fight. She looked tense. She had a tight smile. They were close together, and then she turned around and walked away from him, and that she was always looking down at her phone. But, none of these people, they picked up on that, right? Their intuition said something's not right. And they kept going past. They just went on with their night. Till they heard someone was murdered.
Yeah, because you wouldn't think that it was going to be something like that. I mean, one of them, Stein, said she walked past April and she had like a tense smile on her face, and then she saw that she was being followed by an angry-looking man. So you would just assume that they were together and they'd had an argument or something. And
you don't, and people don't want to get involved if that's her stepdad or her boyfriend.
You wouldn't say anything because you know, it's nothing big, is it? Like you see someone.
But you know what
who
that
looks
Stein
angry.
lady said? Miss Stein? Miss Stein said that she could go back. She would have asked her if she was okay.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight, and you'd do a lot different, wouldn't you?
But we can learn from this.
Mm-hmm.
We can learn from these things. If we see someone like this in this position that doesn't look right.
Especially a young girl as well. I mean,
Yes.
it's not like they were the same
Yes.
age. She was 14 and he was 34.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you think that, you know, something might not be right, you know, turn around and take another drive back by. I mean, double check.
Yeah.
You
What's
know?
the worst that can happen? They say, yeah, we're fine.
Right. I mean, it shouldn't hurt anyone. As a matter of fact, they should be grateful.
Yeah.
And
Everyone
I
needs
think
to look out
that's
for each other.
very, very important. Very important.
It's true, because people don't look out for each other anymore. Everyone's too scared to intervene in anything. It's sad.
Yeah, and I think that we need to stop being like that.
Mm-hmm.
So now we go. Okay, so where is the? Ooh, there's the composite. Oh, there it is. I think she did a pretty good job. The nose is off to me, but the striking eyes.
Yeah, it's the eyes.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense because that's what they could see beyond that helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So here's his living arrangements. No driver's license, no car, no phone, no computer, no friends, no job, no authority around the house. There's your VanCallis. So then this is where he goes on to like the psychology behind it. And then this talks about the girlfriend. Let's listen a little bit to this. This is kind of interesting. All of it's interesting.
Eyes, we already know. Take a look at the ears.
I wish I had enough time to play all of it.
Yeah, I know.
Take a look at the lips. The lips are a perfect match. Take a look at what I had to ask my wife last night what this was. That's a filtrum. Matches. Prominent.
I wonder if I can speed
Take
him
a
up a
look
little.
at the space down here in the nose.
They're like
Width
1.5.
up here. Matches. Look at the shape of the face. How it goes down. Matches. The hair doesn't. There's no facial hair.
He was a ticking time bomb.
That pod is not as far off as you would be led to believe. One of our other main witnesses is Crystal Stadler. I think it would have been really easy for Crystal to come in here and just simply say more than she did. She could have come in here and said,
Yeah.
he confessed
They were
to me.
trying to
She could have come in here
discredit
and said,
her.
"Got rid of the shoes. I saw blood." She could have come in here and said a lot of different things. She didn't. It's not her place. If anybody knows what it's like to be in the situation that she was in, those who have had.
If she was going to lie, she would not have made up lies about hand sanitizer and shit.
Time you want unless there's water there already. No dryer. She's not allowed
Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's her living arrangements.
here, yelling and screaming and wanting a pound of flesh. Was she easily confused? Unfortunately, she was. But I don't certainly think that meant she was lying, or that she fully understood the gravity of everything that was going on. That's... Think about it. These are the living arrangements. They're living in the mother-in-law's quarters in that place. No driver's license, no car, no phone, no computer, no friends, no job, no authority around the house, and she's got 2 small children. Think about it. This home life is like an episode from Jerry Springer.
Oh,
I
yeah,
agree
they
with
had
Mr.
no...
G.
Wait.
No electricity in their portion until it's turned
They
on by the
had
generator.
no electricity either in there.
No electricity.
How do you have children? I
No water, no electricity.
How?
Crazy.
I thought that he was talking about James's living arrangements. I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
The house, and his father living in separate quarters in the house. Next. She did the best she could. She told you the truth as she remembered it. and this is where your role becomes very important in these cases, because you're the one that judges the credibility. By Mr. Shi coming up and beating her up and making her confused, does that make her less than she was? Or was she just too complacent and I was asking her questions? You have to make the decision. But I would tell you, based on what you saw and what she said, she didn't. It's not her place.
Sorry, I skipped that part.
Anybody knows what it's like to be in the situation that she was in. Those who have been themselves victims of domestic violence. Crystal Stadler is a victim of domestic violence. His behavior was physically and verbally abusive, she told you, and controlling. She exhibits all the signs of a battered wife. But she's submissive. She's not vengeful. She had no attitude. She didn't come in here yelling and screaming and wanting a pound of flesh. Was she easily confused? Unfortunately, she was. But I don't certainly think that meant she was lying.
She
fully understood the gravity of everything.
She was petrified to testify against him.
Yeah.
Absolutely petrified.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then I'm going to move forward because we're running out of time, but I want to fast forward to, let's get out of Crystal and let's get to that path he took. His shoes and the path. Here we go.
Look how beat up those shoes are.
That's the
But you know
Jordans,
what's, like,
and there's the
really
pictures of him
creepy?
wearing the Jordans. We've already established that.
That bike is not that large when everybody says it's.
There's his dumb sister on the bike, and
With
then they're
that
comparing the
modified
fender. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The white fender, which is
That's
you
the bit
said.
that you could see in that CCTV from the gas station.
Right. So here's
That
the
back thing.
collage of all the different footages they got from the gas station, the houses on the different roads, and then the actual bike, and then I think the stock photo of the bike or something. So that's where they're showing it's him, blah, blah, blah. There's Dickhead himself. Sorry. I despise this guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Just put them all up. You can read that.
Okay, so now
this is what it
he's
is.
going over the charges
Yeah.
again. So now we are going to fast forward.
Oh,
And
that's the statement.
this is the sentencing, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's the end. Okay. And that is Jennifer. That's her mom.
Her victim statement was really powerful. So sad.
It's really sad. She's a very kind person. She had a hard time in school.
Yeah.
She was bullied in school, and April was like who she always wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was so tragic because she has like a neurological disorder, and people in school would tease her and be like, call her drunk and, just mean. You know how kids are assholes.
Yeah.
And then she had this beautiful daughter, and she was everything I think that Jennifer ever wanted to be. And then this happened to her, and it was just like so sad. All right, here we go with the verdict. This is the verdict. I don't know if I have sentencing on here or not.
Murder. We find the defendant guilty.
Shit.
What's he looking at?
He's looking at the jury, I think. Here, because it melts in here. That's the end of the trial. Now, here's the verdict.
And you could begin with count one. Count one is?
Count one. First degree premeditated murder. We find the defendant guilty.
Look at those blinking.
Count two. First degree felony murder. We find the defendant guilty.
Zero
Count three,
emotion.
kidnapping. We find the defendant guilty. Count four. Assault with intent to commit sexual penetration. We find the defendant guilty.
Okay, the deputy will take the verdict form from you. Have a seat, please. Mr. Sheik, would you like to have this jury polled?
That's my sister.
Madam Clerk?
Juror number 152, was that and is that your verdict? Yes. Juror number 114, was that and is that your verdict?
Was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 451, was that and is that your verdict?
Gosh, you can just see the relief, you know, that
Was that and is that your verdict? Yes. Juror number 190, was that and is
there's
that your
his
verdict?
mother.
Yes. Juror number 67, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 57, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 92, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 454,
And his
was
sister.
that and is that your verdict?
Yep.
Juror number 24, was that and is that your verdict?
And his father, who's
Juror number
a
369, was that and is that
who's a
your verdict?
registered
Yes.
SO.
Juror number 539, was that and is that your verdict? Yes. All right, folks, on behalf of myself and the attorneys, we want to thank you. This has
So
been a
his
long,
attorney, I
long
just
process.
remembered his name, Askar Sheik. It just popped in my head when I saw his face, Askar. So his mother and sister, I typically would, say they are victims too. They did nothing. They did not murder April, but they were horrendous to her mother online. Absolutely
just terrible.
horrendous.
Like, it doesn't matter whether you think that your son did it or not. You don't go after.
You don't
murder
go after the
victim's
victim's
parent.
mom. Yeah, they're just trash.
It just
So-
shows what kind of people they are.
Exactly. And they professed his innocence, and they still do.
Yeah.
So, we do appreciate your patience and all the attention that you've given us. I'm going to ask
Look,
you to
he
please
can't
return
even
to the
shut
jury
up
room,
long enough for the damn hearing to end.
and I will be there to see you in about 4 minutes. Thank you.
He's freaking out. He's not quite so stoic anymore, is he?
Excuse me, court is still in session. Please, let me finish, and then you can do what you want. Mr. VanCallis, there's a $68 state fee.
Did you love that?
I know.
He's like,
I
we
was
got him.
It's like, wait, Mary.
I love it. And Mary's like, pardon me.
Excuse me.
I thought that was great. He got really close to Jennifer. He's really passionate and just you can tell his heart's in it.
Yeah, he did an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
Juror number 24, was that and is that your
She's
verdict?
shaking like a leaf.
Juror number 369, was that and is that your verdict? Yes. And juror number 539, was that and is that your verdict? Yes. All right, folks, on behalf of myself and the attorneys, we want to thank you. This has been a long, long process. We do appreciate your patience and all the attention that you've given us. I'm going to ask you to please return to the jury room, and I will be there to see you in about 4 minutes. Thank you.
All right, jury.
Seems like he's very much like his dad, because his dad has no emotion either.
Yeah.
Excuse me, court is still in session. Please, let me finish, and then you can do what you want.
Then you can
VanCallis,
do what you want.
$68 state fee, $130 crime victim rights service fund fee. You'll have to have a DNA test, and we will see you here for sentencing on March 30th at 8 a.m. Court is adjourned. Thank you.
Now listen, watch this. Have you ever heard like applause?
Applause, yeah.
All right, here's his sentencing. Oh, this is Jennifer's statement. I think she goes first, right?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, it's really sad. I'm gonna have to mute.
People versus VanCallis.
Ready, Your Honor.
I'll be back when she's over. I'm just kidding. It's a lot. Little behind the scenes look. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, hey guys.
For the record, Your Honor, William Taldo and Bill Daly appearing on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the court, Azar Sheik here on behalf of the defendant, James VanCallis, who stands to my immediate right. We are ready to proceed.
So we've been provided with a pre-sentence report. Is there anything in this report that we need to address address as being factually inconsistent?
Your Honor, it is a 27-page report, and I went over it in detail with my client. We have no additions, deletions, or modifications. We understand that the recommendations are what they are based on statutory guidelines. I did go over it with you at length, correct? The pre-sentence investigation report, Mr. VanCallis?
That's correct, Your Honor.
I have reviewed the report, Your Honor, on behalf of the people. There are no additions, deletions, or corrections to make to the report.
Is there any corrections that need to be made to the scoring guidelines?
Not on behalf of the people.
None on behalf of the defense, Your Honor.
And Mr. Patello, how do you want to proceed?
At this time, Your Honor, Jennifer Millsap would like to make a statement to this court on behalf of the victim.
Step back.
Step back.
This took a lot of just bravery, courage.
Would you wish her to say at the podium?
Wherever she feels comfortable.
She's like, I'm coming right up here.
She did so well.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Novitz.
Take a deep breath.
Okay. James, I don't know why you did what you did, but my question to you is why? What did they perpetrate to you? For you to be so brutal with her? Do you even know her? Well, what was your plan for her that night? Why did you have to hurt her? Just because she ignored your advances? Did she deserve to die? What made you so darn special? I hope you can never sleep without dreams tormenting you. I hope you can't ever eat because you have no appetite. I hope the rain pierces you like bullets. I hope the sun burns you like fire burns skin. I hope the four walls close in on you and choke you. I hope those steel bars are your only friends. I hope when you close your eyes, you see only April over and over and over again. You will die behind those bars, alone. I hope that the inmates know exactly what you did, because I hear their punishment can be very ugly. I hope they save all their rage and anger just for you. You, James, are a damn thief. You stole my beautiful daughter's life, and you stole the rest of mine. April was a beautiful, kind, giving, and loving young lady. She was loved by all that knew her and all those that she touched. She was beautiful both on the inside as well as the outside. You stole her future and all that she had to give from her and the rest of this world. April would have started high school in the fall, and she was so very much looking forward to that. She was excited as well as I was for all the opportunities that were ahead of her. She was looking forward to being more independent than she already was. You denied her the opportunity to graduate high school and to move on to college and to grow and to develop a career of her choice. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do for a career, but she was only 14, and she was only 14, and that is what high school was all about. She loved animals, nature, and a reflection. She wrote poems, short stories as a way to enhance her creativity. April was a good student. She enjoyed her studies and learning all about the aspects of our world. She enjoyed learning German. One day, she thought she could further develop her language skills overseas. She loved dressing up nicely and taking care of herself. When she believed in something, she stood up for that issue or person. I was very proud of her. She was my world, and I loved her, and I will miss her greatly. April loved spending time walking, caring for her dog. She was very shy, but yet she had close friends she could count on. Friends that she trusted. She trusted her boyfriend, Austin. Although they were very young, they cared for each other very much. I was in awe how much Austin really was devoted to April and how much he was there for her. And April encouraged Austin to be the best that he could be. April tended to bring out the best in everyone that came into her life. You stole April's chance to experience being a wife and mother. She would have been a great mother too. She loved and cared for all her younger cousins, from babies all the way up to preteens. And she had so much patience with them. April wasn't a very deeply religious person, but she did believe in God. She loved working with the children of our church and the youth group. She was great with them. She would have made a great teacher or a counselor. You also stole from my family and me. You took from us the joy of seeing her grow and mature into a wonderful young woman. As she was a child. I will never get to see her graduate both high school and college. I will never see her get married and have children of her own, if that was what she chose. My life totally changed since April was killed. I have periods of depression and anxiety. I hold a lot just to keep moving every day. My life will never be the same. I will always miss April and will continue to hold her in my heart. I had never thought this could happen to my daughter or to me. I know that the Bible tells us that we are supposed to forgive those who wrong us, but what you took from us is unforgivable. You have a lot of people to apologize to. Don't expect anyone to accept it because you don't have the ability to turn back time and to take this back. I pity you, and I hate you, and I can never forgive you. Thank you.
Please, you have to stand down.
No one else to speak on behalf of family.
What would you like to say on behalf of the client?
Your Honor, I believe he's going to speak for himself, if he may.
You have nothing to say on behalf of the client?
He's just planning on pursuing all his appellate rights, and given the statutory obligations on you to sentence him to mandatory life, I don't think it would make any sense for me to say anything. Thank you for the opportunity.
What would you like to say, Mr. VanCallis?
Am I given permission to speak, Your Honor?
Speak to me, not to the microphone.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, first off, is that
Uh-oh. Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Why am I buffering?
Freeze.
Yeah, I have no idea why.
July 24th, 2014. There is nobody that can ID or has ID'd my motorcycle as being on that trail that day. None of the witnesses could positively identify me. They said that they seen eyes, which is, if that's the case, how many people have eyes that are that shape? Nobody said that they seen a color of eyes. Nobody positively ID'd my motorcycle helmet as being the helmet that they seen that day. Nobody sat there and ID'd the clothing that I was wearing to exact. Nobody ID'd the shoes that I was wearing to exact on that day. This is a sad chain of events that somehow I'm wrapped up in. I don't know how to have the Millsap family understand that I don't know her. I've never met her. I I'd never seen her before.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Sir, who is this?
Charlie Langton.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The discovery that I've got in this case was coming in sporadically, and I asked my Honor to have the prosecution give us a hard copy in this. You asked him if he understood in pretrial conferences. He agreed that he understood and that he would do it by that week's end. 5 weeks later, he did not give it to me. He said that under law he did not only provide a way to give it to us, not to actually give us a hard copy. When we finally did get the actual crime scene photos that were alleged to be child pornography, they showed a completely different scenario.
There's his dad.
With completely different clothes, with completely different disarray that was not consistent with the original discovery that we got. I tried addressing this to the court, and my Honor told me that I am not to address this court, I am to speak through my attorney. I addressed it to my attorney. My attorney did not address it to you. I'm asking you to ask my attorney to state on the record that these are actual and factual things that I'm speaking, that the discovery that we got was not the exact same discovery that we were later given, to where it shows two different bodies and two different types of clothing. That one is consistent with what the eyewitness that found the body said that she was wearing, which a couple other witnesses said that they seen her on the trail wearing, which was the top that was either a white or a pinkish colored top. And what they showed as discovery was a completely different colored top that was with, the body was without a bra. And the later photos that we got that you allowed us to have that they alleged to be child pornography photos actually showed where the victim or the decedent was wearing a bra and her top was lifted, versus the discovery that they gave us to where the top was pulled down to...
Dude, I have to wonder if he's not getting off on this shit.
Oh, I think he is.
My God.
He's just stood opposite her mom while she's pouring her heart out. And then he goes, like as if she hasn't said anything, all nonchalant, arrogant, talking about the discovery. Like, what are you doing?
What in the hell? I've only seen this the one time when it happened. I've never rewatched it.
Oh,
Thank you,
so
Shel.
mad when I was watching it.
Thank you, Shel.
And it gets worse.
Yeah, it's horrible. He's talking, I mean, he's arguing semantics, and it's almost like he just wants to revisit what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
And it gets worse as well.
The waist.
And you see his dad listening intently, which makes me want to throw up.
And it was a different color top with no bra on. During final closing arguments, Bill Catalda here, the prosecutor, showed the fact finders, the panel, my fact finders, the photo. He wheeled it in front of them and said that the top was down, the bra was off to the side, but that's not consistent with the crime scene photos that he asked for. You said, would they help defend your client? He said yes. You allowed them. They gave them. It's not consistent. There's a fraud that's been perpetuated in this case by whoever put the case together to put it on that hard drive. My attorney has witnessed it. I've brought it up to my attorney several times. He could testify right here, right now, if you were to ask him if what I'm saying is the truth.
The reality is we're here to sentence you today.
I understand that, Your Honor, but...
Please, I didn't interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The reality is we're here to sentence you. Anything you want to say regarding an appeal, you can do that as soon as you're done with me.
I'm just asking for a motion for trial de novo on the grounds that...
Not the appropriate time. I'd like to proceed with my reality of having to sentence you today.
Could I finish then? What I have to say?
Not if you're going to argue appellate issues, no.
No, I'm not going to...
Today set for sentencing, not to retry the case.
I'm not retrying the case, Your Honor. I'm just trying to make it clear to the record that I wasn't able properly to defend myself in this case.
You can tell that to the appellate court.
All right, well then I'll finish with what I have to say here then. Your Honor, before you impose sentence, I formally request that you specify to me on the record exactly what statute or statutes authorize you to impose the sentence you are imposing at this time. Furthermore, if you plan on imposing any sentencing conditions upon me to go along with the sentence, I formally request that you specify to me on the record exactly the statute or statutes authorizing you to impose such sentencing conditions upon me at this time. I am aware that all judges must comply with enhanced legislate when imposing sentencing upon convicted defendants. Therefore, all sentences and sentencing conditions imposed within the state of Michigan must possess statutory authorization to be legal. I am also aware that I have a constitutional right to due process of law, which is guaranteed by the 5th and 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. As a result, I have the constitutional right to be provided with due notice of what statutes you are imposing my sentence under, and I again formally request that you specify to me on the record exactly what statute or statutes you receive your authorization from, and I further request that you specify such statute or statutes by their proper what is it?
Can you pronounce it
Codified
for me?
citation.
Codified citation to prevent.
I don't know why it keeps buffering.
I can't believe he's so arrogant that now he's trying to school the judge.
Yeah, he's an ass.
Of the following charges by a jury of your peers on February 8th of 2016. First-degree felony murder, kidnapping, criminal sexual conduct, assault with intent to commit sexual penetration. Specifically, for your request, the statute citation for homicide is 750.316. MCL 750.316. The statute for felony murder is MCL 753.161B. The statute for kidnapping is MCL 750.379. And the statute for criminal sexual conduct, assault with intent to commit sexual penetration is MCL 750.520G1. Those are your statutory authorities upon which you were convicted. I, by law, am empowered with the ability to render today for you a sentence in accordance with law. As to the charge of first-degree murder, it is the sense of the court that you serve life in prison with no chance of parole.
I'm sorry.
One as to count.
No, we can keep playing it, but I was just thinking to myself, how cute is it that our dogs are communicating over the pond? I just had to say that was so cute. They're barking at each other across the damn pond.
Yeah, it happens all the time whenever someone barks on like lives. My dog starts barking as well and looks out the window.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay, let's finish his sentencing. Mary's handing his ass to him, basically. And I love how she questioned him, or he questioned her, like, oh, I want you to name every statute as you sentence me. And she's like, oh, per your request.
But not even statutes. He said statues.
Statues. Oh my God. Mike Sanner, yes, it is. I think it's Michigan criminal law. What's up, One Shot Scott? Thank you for your Cash App. All right, hold up. Here we go.
To felony murder, it is the sentence of the court that you serve life in the Michigan Department of Corrections with no chance of parole. With respect to count 2, kidnapping, it is the sentence of the court that you serve 225 months to 480 months in the custody of the Michigan Department of Corrections. With respect to the charge of criminal sexual conduct, assault with intent to commit sexual penetration, it is the sentence of the court that you serve 80 months to 120 months in the custody of the Michigan Department of Corrections. With respect to the sexual assault charge, the further sentence to the court that you must register as required by the Michigan Sex Offender Registration Act, comply with all the requirements of that act. You must also have a HIV test. Each count carries with it a $68 state fee. The file carries with it a $130 Crime Victim Rights Service Fund fee. Court-appointed attorney fees are granted in the amount of $28,600.93. With respect to Mr. O'Keefe's bill, Mr. Sheik, I have issues with it. I have significant issues with it because Mr. O'Keefe was not here.
Mr. O'Kelly.
I'm sorry, O'Kelly was not here and was not here throughout the trial. And much of the billing is encompassing that. And we're going to discuss that at a later time because we're going to set that issue up for hearing regarding his bill. Madam Clerk, set that up probably within the next month on a Monday. And we will address line by line his bill because I am in total disagreement with his $15,000.
And hell.
And that way the prosecution can give me any input regarding this bill. But right now I think we've concluded. In determining the sentence for this defendant, the court has considered the discipline and punishment of the wrongdoer, the protection of society, the potential for rehabilitation of the defendant, the deterring of others from committing like offenses. You have an absolute right to appeal. If you can't afford an attorney, I will appoint one. You have 42 days to make that request. The clerk is handing you a form, which is called a Notice of Rights to Timely Appeal. Did you get that form?
Acknowledge you received the form.
Yes, I have. I'm filling it out right now, Your Honor. I'd like to file it right now while I'm in front of you.
Your Honor, there's restitution requested by Ms. Millsap in the amount of $7,538.42.
And that's absolutely granted.
Your Honor, just a brief question. Do you require Mr. Kelly to be here, or do you require me to voice his concerns?
Paid, he's going to come here and tell me exactly why he deserves to be paid $15,000.
As you know, he's out of state. Would an affidavit from him suffice?
If he wants to get paid, he's going to explain to me why he's billing me for time when he was not needed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will discuss separately. Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate the guidance.
Yes, yes, I looked at papers.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hearsay papers, I don't know.
James, we love you. We'll get you out. We will. We will.
His mother making a bold statement. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, right.
James, we love you. We'll get you out. We will. Well, I have news. Mr. VanCallis just was denied an appeal.
Yep.
By Felicia. All right, I'm trying to see. Oh, yeah, she's the one that said he was framed. Like, framed by who?
Yes. She said by law enforcement.
She's crazy as hell.
They couldn't put it on anyone else. They just put it on him. Okay.
Right. It just shows, the level of denial and enabling that was going on in that family. It was, it was very sick. I mean, I appreciate you guys, though, sitting through and getting all the ins and outs of this case because, it was something that I kind of saw firsthand, and it's just the things that her mother went through. I can't even describe, and I think about that with every case that we follow like this.
Yeah. So was this case what got you into true crime, or were you interested before?
I was interested before. I've always been interested. I think the first case that ever creeped me out was when I was a kid, and it was Adam Walsh. But
yeah,
this was my first time going to a trial. Well, not a trial, but I went to the prelim and the sentencing. It was the first time doing that. Plus, I knew the person.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hearing firsthand. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the personal struggles she went through, but I know what she went through And I imagine every mother that loses their child goes through those same emotions and everything that she went through. And that's why I don't like when there's kid cases and there's games and there's lies and deception, because there's real people behind all of these.
Yeah, I think it's different when you're that close to something tragic that happens. Like, it just makes it all real. Like, it's easy to watch stuff from afar, but when it happens near you, it's completely different.
And that's totally what I was thinking as we were watching her victim statement. I was thinking, everyone watching this, it's like watching another case.
Yeah,
it's so weird, you know.
Yeah, you've got a distance between you and the case, but yeah.
But like, I look at her standing at that podium, and I can picture what my view was sitting there watching her, and I know, talking to her beforehand, how scared she was, but how driven she felt to do it, because she was so. It made it doubly like as powerful because, like I said, she was teased for her speech impediment, and for her to get in front of those people and in front of the man who killed everything that she lived for.
And standing so close to him as well. Like,
so freaking
thinking
close.
When the camera kept on panning from him to her, like, they were so close.
I don't know how she did it.
And he was watching her the whole time as well.
He kept looking. Yes, he was trying to intimidate. He was such a dick.
Yeah, he was literally staring at her.
Staring with and just to make her feel uncomfortable. And I thought, isn't it enough that you killed her daughter? Like, you're going to torment her in this courtroom?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Just the level of evil in people. And it's really scary. It's scary because they're everywhere. People like him, there's James VanCallis in every little town.
Yep.
Said, what do you want to do? Hit me again? Would you like to hit me again?
Oops, I didn't mean to hit that sound bite. It was a Johnny Depp. Hey, Miss Robin. Another Michigander. Yeah, she's like, is this Macomb County? Yep. She said, Jay, did your parents ever warn you about the Oakland County child killer when you were a kid? No, they didn't. I didn't hear about that until I was a little bit older. The Oakland County child killer, it's an unsolved case out of Oakland County, Michigan, which is the same court that the Crumleys are in, Oakland County. Way back in, I think, the 70s, early 80s. I don't know if it went into the 80s, but it was unsolved child killing cases. We could go over it.
Yeah, it should do.
Maybe Skulls can check it out for us.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This just so sick of hearing about these things, and then like revisiting this again. It's just like, here we are, how many years later, and how many other girls have, been assaulted or died at the hands of people like James VanCallis
for refusing people's advances.
Yeah, like, oh, you're 14, you don't want me. Like, really? Get a clue, dude.
So she was strong enough to stand up for herself, and he didn't like that.
She did everything she was supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what's really scary to think about? What if she didn't have that app on? What if she didn't have that app on? I think the fitness app is what nailed him.
Yeah, they're really important. Yeah.
Oh, is there? She said there's a good Netflix doc on the Oakland County child killer.
We'll have to have a look.
Absolutely. Now get back to your Summer Wells coverage. Absolutely. You can tell who I still watch from time to time. Guilty as charged.
Roberta.
I am a true Roberta. But anyways, all right, we should wrap this up. We've been going, not too bad, 2 hours, 40 minutes. I know it's long, but it was shorter than what I envisioned. I was almost like, oh my God, we might have to do a two-parter.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of stuff we could have played in that.
There was a lot. There was a lot more we could have covered.
Yeah.
But you know what I can do is I can link you guys. I actually have a video on my channel on this, and I can go ahead and re-premiere that.
Yeah.
And it gives like a rundown. It's like an hour. As if you guys didn't sit through enough. J is for Justice podcast. Thank you, Potato.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for not calling it a podcast.
I just did. Did you not hear it?
I did. Until now. All right. All right. Thank you, you guys. Thanks for the super chats that we got while we were chit-chatting. And what was I going to say? What do we got going on? Oh, Monday morning is going to be, I decided, Monday morning at 10 a.m., I'm going to start with the depth coverage, the recaps. This is going to be a lot of fun, you guys. We're going to make this entertaining. And a big shout out to YouTube for demonetizing my 411 channel. Yep.
Not good.
Here, this is for you, YouTube. These nuts. Oh, we're working on getting it back, we're birders. What can you do? Yeah, please do. Text me the name of that. And happy Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, my God. It's Mother's Day in England. Happy Mother's Day.
It's not actually Mother's Day here.
Oh. Well, it's
but happy Mother's Day to all of you.
Well, you get to celebrate with us.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, our dogs, I think, told each other, you know, don't forget.
Bonding.
The dog said, don't forget. Tell your mom Happy Mother's Day. Girl Strand wants to know if we get to make fun of Amba. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. I want to talk about, I have good conversation points that I want to bring up. It's going to have you guys all riled up. Why did Northern, what did she say? What the hell, why for?
I don't know.
Oh, the monetization.
Oh yeah.
And Mike Sanders, so sweet. He thought that I canceled his membership.
Oh.
And he emailed me and he's like, did I do something wrong? I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
And, you know, so that's the reason.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that's true.
Well, the documentary's on Hulu, not
Thanks,
Netflix.
Don, for that. I know you can't hear the sound bites, which sucks.
No, I can't.
Oh, it's on Hulu? I don't have Hulu. Boo to Hulu.
You know Don's full of shit.
Monkey Biz, thanks for being here. I know these other cases don't quite get the viewers like the Summer Wells drama, do they? But
no,
I'm all about quality over quantity. And really, you know, talking about things that matter.
Yes.
And honestly, you know, tomorrow's Mother's Day, and I might just reach out and tell Jennifer Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
It's a hard day. She lost her own mother too.
Oh, did she?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's horrible. It's just her story is just absolutely just tragic, but she keeps going.
Yeah, she's very strong.
She has no other kids, you guys. Like, that was her only kid, her only child.
I can't even imagine. It's just heartbreaking.
I've told her, I said, I don't feel strong. I don't feel strong. I'm like, girl, you are stronger than I feel that I could ever be.
Yeah, definitely.
You have no other children to wake up for, but you still wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And they started a garden. They have a memorial garden. They have a scholarship in her name.
Yeah. Amazing.
Several scholarships, I think. There was a lot of things done in her memory and very nice things for Jennifer to, you know, continue forward with. Yeah. And I think that's important. That was one thing that was really important, was she needed something to live for.
Yeah.
What she lived for was gone. Gone. And she needed something to live for. And April's memory was what she lived for.
Yeah.
What she lives for. And she has her days, you know. It's just...
Oh, I bet she does. Like, I can't even imagine.
I can't either. I don't know if I could get out of bed.
No.
But it's like we talked about the court thing, her being strong.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't feel strong. And I think it's one of those, like, where your motherly instinct kicks in, if that's what you call it, where you're there fighting. You're her voice.
Yeah.
Your daughter's not there to speak for herself. The last thing you're going to be is too scared. I mean, this is, you know, from her. It's just, and I get that, because I think when you're in that moment, nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
This is your moment to speak on behalf of your daughter who was victimized by this piece of shit. And I think
the last time that she could confront him as well.
The last time, yeah.
Let him know exactly like what he's done.
Yeah, besides a letter or something.
Yeah.
Took a lot of courage. But I hope you guys all have a very happy Mother's Day and you get everything your little hearts desire, because keeping up with the little Roberters can be maddening, bloody maddening at times.
Do you like to twirl?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this.
Roberta.
I love you, Roberters. And I love you, Potato. Thank you for joining me again tonight. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure.
It's always fun.
All right. Thank you, moderators. Everybody have a great night and a good rest of your Mother's Day weekend.
Good night, everyone.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to France, but don't wanna face to face.